Chapter 441, Heavenly Dragon Subduing the Devil. When Lu Menjie, Ji Dongchen, and the others saw the white dragon tattoo on Chen Shang, they treated it like it was nothing. They only thought Chen Shang liked dragons, that's why he got it. But now, sensing the powerful aura gushing out from that white dragon, they could not help but associate it with a dragon soul. Beast souls were also a kind of martial souls, the acquired martial souls. They were the souls that remained after some powerful beasts had died. A majority of the beast's strength was stored in that soul. After fusing with it, one could obtain a very astonishing strength. Furthermore, he or she could also get some of the martial techniques of that beast soul. These martial techniques were also called beast martial techniques. Upon recalling this point, everyone believed even more so that it was a dragon soul that was fused with Chen Zhang's arm. A dragon was a divine beast. A beast soul of that level was the strongest of all. Thereby, the beast martial technique that Chen Shang had obtained was also very horrifying, or so they believed. Some of the people who had once seen Chen Zhang's battle understood as to why any martial techniques that Chen Shang employed always were in the form of a dragon. At this moment, Chen Shang was using Long Shui's strength. He knew that he could not defeat that resurrected evil skeleton devil lord with his own strength. It might seem that he was completely suppressing the evil skeleton devil lord, but that was just temporary. His dragon force was limited. Furthermore, its rate of consumption was astonishingly fast. As the matter stood, he couldn't even cause any injuries to the evil skeleton devil lord. Evil skeleton devil lord had also noticed this point, that was why he was very calm. Therefore, Chen Shang could only borrow Long Shui's strength and cast the strongest killing technique, the Heavenly Dragon Seal. The Heavenly Dragon Seal did not just use the caster's strength when cast out, it also borrowed the strength of the heaven and the earth. That was also the reason it was so powerful. The stronger its caster was, the more strength of the heaven and the earth he could borrow. Long Shui's strength was very unique. It could very easily fuse with Chen Zhang's strength and become a lot stronger. Furthermore, Long Shui's strength itself was nothing to scoff at. In addition, her spiritual energy was also very strong. As a result, the Heavenly Dragon Seal cast was even stronger. Only with this move could Chen Shang completely kill the evil skeleton devil lord who was in his growth phase. Watching the rising winds and scudding clouds, many people who had seen Chen Zhang's fight knew that Chen Shang was about to cast a very powerful move. Last time he had even destroyed the Fragrance City's square. That scene was still fresh in Ji Dongchen and the others' minds. Very soon, everyone came to learn of that frightening move and were ready to jump. Wang Quan wanted to block them, but there were a couple hundred Nirvana Realm martial artists watching. If he did this, he would be stopped by those Nirvana Realm experts for sure. Furthermore, he was confident about Sun Xueran. When he saw Sun Xueran's other arm also turning into the skeletal claw, he knew Sun Xueran had evolved, he was even more powerful. Chen Shang was stalling until he had gathered enough of heaven and earth forces. He was mainly gathering the spirit chi and lightning. The Heavenly Dragon Seal he was casting this time wasn't the same as before. It was a special move to deal with the devil. If you cast the Furious Dragon's Retribution, it's sufficient. But if you want to cast the Subduing Dragon Seal, it is still lacking. Long Shui pointed it out as she continued to pass the casting method to Chen Zhang's mind. Dark clouds had covered the sky. But they were mainly gathered above the arena, forming a whirlpool of dark clouds, which gave no small pressure to Sun Xueran. He too had heard of this move. Even if he had fused with the evil skeleton devil lord, he still could not fathom from where Chen Shang learned such a powerful dragon martial technique. That's it, Long Shui shouted in a lovely voice as a flash of white light erupted from Chen Zhang's right arm. In fact, Long Shui was instilling her own energy into Chen Shang. While Chen Shang was pounding Sun Xueran, he was reading the incantation as well. The thunder clapped and lightning flashed in the sky as the wind tore through the ground. Even the ground was slightly shaking. The entire scene gave the impression that the entire world was coming to an end, scaring the hell out of everyone. The black whirlpool over the martial arts stage started rotating like crazy, sucking the dark clouds surrounding it into the whirl. Meanwhile, Chen Zhang's spiritual energy and the vigorous true chi madly rushed into the sky, sucking even those lightning strikes into that whirlpool. As everyone raised their heads, many people gulped nervously by the sight of the sheer mass of energy contained inside that huge whirlpool. They immediately gathered their strength underneath their feet, ready to jump at a moment's notice. Once that horrifying energy struck down, they would jump into the sky. Wang Quan and the other Nirvana realm experts noticed that although that mass of energy was huge, it wasn't that strong. They believed it wasn't strong enough to destroy the arrays surrounding the arena. Heavenly Dragon Seal, subduing the devil. As Chen Shang finished chanting, a dragon roar reverberated in the sky before that ball of light in the sky which had all kinds of energy stored in it flashed with a white light. Roar, a dragon roar pierced through the 9 heavens. At that moment, a disastrous aura came crushing down, covering the entire King City. Horrifying tremors ran through the ground. Those cultivators who had long prepared to jump, leapt into the sky instantly. At this moment, a white dragon emerged from that whirlpool. That huge white dragon was as natural as though it was living. It was releasing a holy white aura. Its majestic bearing gave a newfound chill to everyone. The dragon roars continued one after another as the huge white dragon came rushing down from the sky, crashing into the arena. At that moment, all the arrays on the martial arts stage were broken completely. The few divine martial palace elders immediately laid a barrier, nonetheless, they were late by a step. After that dreadful energy crashed into Sun Xueran, it burst forth with a powerful chi that seeped deep into the ground, before exploding. A wave of energy spread in all direction, enveloping the square, as well as the faraway pavilions. Many cracks had appeared on them. The martial arts stage was affected most tragically. After having been enveloped in a white aura, explosions rang to no end. It seemed as if many huge white dragons continued to emerge from that whirlpool and rushed straight towards the ground, madly crashing into that arena. About 30 white dragons congealed from energy, giving out majestic dragon roars struck the ground like lightning. Almost half of that huge square that was as big as a small city was split. All the faraway pavilions were also trampled from the shockwave. That kind of strength was far stronger than an early-stage spirit martial realm cultivator. How could it not? It was an attack cast using the strength of both Chen Shang and Long Shui. Not to mention that an all-powerful spiritual power was cast. The attack was created using the forces of the heaven and earth. It was endlessly powerful. Soon, the heaven and the earth calmed down. The earlier attack was so powerful that they felt as if the world was coming to end. Even those Nirvana realm powerhouses dreaded that dragon martial technique of Chen Shang. If Chen Shang was in Nirvana realm, it would be even stronger for sure. The martial arts stage no longer existed. However, Chen Shang and Sun Xueran were still there. Although Chen Shang was also standing on the arena, he wasn't affected by the attack, for it was him who had cast that spiritual power. As for Sun Xueran, he was lying on the ground. Those giant skeletal arms of his had already disappeared, reverted back to their original appearance. His entire body looked like a mummified corpse. His face was completely pale as if he was scared shitless. In the future, I would never go to watch this guy's fight, ever. It is simply suicidal. A man crashed down from the sky. Had they not escaped a moment ago, perhaps they would have been blown away already. Yeah, last time I was a bit slower to react and was buried in the rubble. That guy is a complete freak. Quote. At this moment, many people sighed with emotions. Had it not been for those arrays on the martial arts stage, perhaps everything would have been destroyed completely. With Sun Xueran's death, Chen Shang took a long, deep breath. Nearly all of his true chi had been consumed. Wang Quan's facial muscles twitched as he walked onto the stage. Just as he touched Sun Xueran's corpse, that corpse transformed into ashes and scattered with the wind. By the sight of this, everyone was startled. You won, Wang Quan shouted in a hoarse voice. His entire body quivering with anger. Chapter 442, King's Mysterious Realm. Seeing Wang Quan in a towering rage, Ji Yudongchen and Wu Kaming hurriedly arrived beside Chen Shang, lest Wang Quan fling caution to the wind and attack Chen Shang. What about my rewards? Chen Shang was even more concerned about this. He did come here for that fruit of fortune, after all. Taking deep breaths, Wang Quan managed to suppress the fury and hatred in his heart. He took out a jade box and handed it over to Chen Shang. As the winner of this year's King's Martial Arts Assembly, this is your reward on behalf of my Divine Martial Palace. Chen Shang opened the box immediately to check and saw a fist-sized pure white fruit inside. It was the fruit of fortune. Although it was not emanating any kind of aura whatsoever, when Chen Shang touched it a bit, he could feel a bizarre spirit chi inside. It sure is the fruit of fortune, Su Meiyao said, after having confirmed. Watching that precious fruit of fortune falling in Chen Zhang's laps, some of the alchemists and young martial artists felt extremely jealous. They were feeling envious of Chen Shang for being able to obtain such good thing at his age. The final winner of King's Martial Arts Assembly turned out to be a martial artist from overseas, which made many native martial artists of King's mainland feel very shameful. There were many who hated Chen Shang, but they had no choice but to acknowledge Chen Zhang's strength. Just from the square he was in, it was quite apparent that Chen Shang was extremely strong. After all, that Sun Xueran was a level higher than Chen Shang. There should be one more reward, right? Chen Shang said. He was also quite curious about that mysterious reward. Hearing this sentence, Wang Quan was startled a bit before he replied, "You have to come with me. Also, you need to keep it a secret." "That won't do." Of course, Ji Dongchen couldn't allow Chen Shang to go alone with Wang Quan. Wang Quan had a deep-seated hatred for Chen Shang. It was impossible not to worry. Wang Quan coldly said, "I also don't want to. I don't want to regret it later. As much as I want to kill this brat, I don't dare to act recklessly in regards to this matter." This proclamation made Chen Shang think of the king's mysterious realm. It was a very mysterious place. Chen Shang reckoned that there were some powerhouses still inside the king's mysterious realm. "It's all right, don't worry about me." Chen Shang smiled at Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming, assuring them. The King's Martial Arts Assembly was held once every decade, yet no one knew what this mysterious reward was. And everyone who did get this reward had to keep it a secret. Judging from Chen Zhang's bearing, Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming could only let Chen Shang follow Wang Quan. By the sight of this scene, many onlookers' curiosity was piqued, for they didn't even know about that mysterious reward. Chen Shang, following Wang Quan, left, whereas Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming were surrounded by a group of powerhouses, asking about that mysterious reward. However, they couldn't get any answer, which added much to their curiosity even more so. Wang Quan brought Chen Shang into an enormous palace. This palace was magnificent yet not luxurious. There was a strong ancient aura to it. Apparently, it was a relic from the distant past. After entering, Chen Shang, following Wang Quan through many secret passages, finally entered the heart of this tall and magnificent palace. "Wang Quan, I think you should go and meet my teacher," Chen Shang suddenly said. Why? Wang Quan coldly harumphed. At present, he could not wait to crush Chen Shang to death. However, he didn't dare so. If he could, he would have done it a long time ago. Chen Shang could also see that this mysterious reward was of paramount importance, or why would Wang Quan be so cautious? The martial soul you gave Sun Xueran was actually an evil martial soul, called Evil Skeleton Martial Soul. Don't you know? Chen Shang coldly smiled as he asked. So what? Sun Xueran didn't do anything bad with that evil martial soul. Only his character appeared to be indifferent, that's all, Wang Quan said disapprovingly. You might not know, but this evil skeleton martial soul was a relic of a guy named Devil Lord Evil Skeleton. His soul and consciousness were actually inside it. I don't need to say any more, and you aren't an idiot as well. You should be well aware of what are the consequences if the Devil Lord Evil Skeleton is resurrected and is allowed to flourish. Upon hearing Chen Shang, Wang Quan trembled a bit and stopped. He no longer said anything and continued leading Chen Shang through various secret passages. Wang Quan sure knew about Evil Skeleton Devil Lord. He very well knew that the Evil Skeleton Martial Soul belonged to Devil Lord Evil Skeleton. However, he had never expected for Devil Lord Evil Skeleton to resurrect in this way. After carefully analyzing the unusual changes in Sun Xueran after Chen Shang had ripped Sun Xueran's arm away, he was sure Chen Shang was telling the truth. At that time, he too believed that there was something wrong with Sun Xueran. When Chen Shang had killed Sun Xueran, that slowly growing Devil Lord Evil Skeleton was also killed by Chen Shang. If he had allowed that Devil Lord to secretly prosper, the subsequent consequences would have been disastrous. After following Wang Quan through many secret passages, even Chen Shang had no idea where he ended up. However, he was still inside the huge palace. It was the one thing he was still sure of. At this moment, Wang Quan led him into a huge hall. At the center of this hall was a teleportation array. Stand in the center, I will teleport you to a place. I hope you can still come back. Of course, it is still not too late for you to back out, Wang Quan said. Just as Chen Shang placed his foot forward, he withdrew it immediately. What do you mean? Explain it clearly, will you? Won't this teleportation array teleport me to the king's mysterious realm? Wang Quan answered coldly, you sure know more than you should. That old madman must have told you. To tell you the truth, the King's Martial Arts Assembly has been held many times over tens of thousands of years, but not many people know about the King's mysterious realm. Do you know why? Chen Shang shook his head in response. Because most of the people who won first are afraid to step into the teleportation other. They are afraid to enter the king's mysterious realm. I too was a champion of King's martial arts assembly once, but I also gave up the chance to enter the king's mysterious realm. Chen Shang slowly took a deep breath before asking, why? Because those who had entered have never come out, ever. All I know is that anyone who enters will face king's trial, which is very dangerous. Now, are you sure you still want to proceed? Chen Shang nodded his agreement. I want to go. Having said this, he walked to the center of the teleportation array without further ado. Pinching a talisman, Wang Quan said, I have recorded what you just ate a moment ago. If you don't come back, I can still prove my innocence. While Wang Quan spoke, a dazzling white light flashed from the teleportation array before Chen Zhang's figure disappeared. He had been teleported to the king's mysterious realm. Chen Shang didn't fear any trial, the slightest bit. As far as he was concerned, it was a means to improve his strength. Not to mention the fact that he was now in extreme state. He could leave the mysterious realm through the Luo Tian door at moment notice. If he felt that something was wrong, he could escape momentarily. At present, he wanted to see what's so mysterious and terrifying about this king's mysterious realm. After having his sight dazzled by the white flash of light, Chen Shang appeared on a plain. And on the distant horizon of the plain was a tall and huge palace. Looking from afar, he looked like a tall mountain rising straight from the prairie. Even from this far away, Chen Shang could still feel its grand and imposing aura. Hey, welcome to the king's mysterious realm. Little brother, I would still have to ask you the trouble to enter the king's palace yourself. A gentle laughter floated into Chen Zhang's ears, echoing continuously. King's palace? Chen Shang could not find anything terrifying about this place, as Wang Quan had said. Putting his mind at ease, he ran towards that distant palace. Chapter 443, King's Palace. When Chen Shang managed to arrive at the entrance of the palace, an old man suddenly walked out from within, welcoming him with smiles. Little brother, are you the recent champion of King's mainland? That old man asked, smiling. Chen Shang nodded his affirmation. I am, but I don't know why I have to come here. That old man answered, it's better if you don't know. Come with me. Chen Shang could only follow that old man to a stone room. Standing inside which was a middle-aged man, who waved his hand to the old man. Whereupon, that old man withdrew from the room. The door of this stone room was also closed completely. The middle-aged man was dressed very simply. His long hair was draped over his shoulder. With a gentle look and a slight smile on his face, he gazed at Chen Shang. From the beginning, the king's mysterious realm was very mysterious. And after Chen Shang had arrived here, his curiosity was piqued even more so by the sight of the king's palace. What he could not understand was why a group of people were willing to stay here for thousands and thousands of years. Rich as the spirit chi in here was, staying in here would be rather monotonous. After staring at Chen Shang for a while, that middle-aged man finally opened his mouth. It's very difficult for me to believe that there is still someone willing to come in here. I have waited for a long time. My weight has not let me down. Your physique is very good. Although you have expended a lot of your true chi, I can still see that your true chi must have been very vigorous. You deserve to be the champion of the King's Martial Arts Assembly. It looks like you are far better than those who have come before you. Chen Shang pursed his lips into a smile as he said, all I knew was that the champion will receive this mysterious reward, therefore, I came in. That middle-aged man smiled and asked, so to say, when you came in, you knew it would be dangerous. Yes, but I am not afraid. Now, shouldn't you tell me what that reward is? Chen Shang asked. He was a bit fatigued and wanted to leave this place sooner. The middle-aged man nodded. After all, young people were all extremely curious. Now, after having arrived at such a mysterious pace, Chen Shang would want to know some things naturally. This king's mysterious realm has a long line of history. It's also the place where the human king was born. We are the guardian of this place. This king's palace is also the base of human king in the mortal world. So, in order to cultivate some good seedlings, the human king will choose some king's vain martial artists from the king's mainland to come here using some ways, where they will receive the human king's inheritance and become a martial artist of king's palace. That middle-aged man explained. Chen Shang was momentarily stunned. He could not help but ask, so to say, there is a king's palace in the heavenly realm as well. That's right. However, it is just a young influence. One of the reasons why the human king established an influence in the heavenly realm is to let many king's vain martial artists have a safe harbor once they arrived in the heavenly realm. And since you can come here, it means your bloodline is outstanding. You will be zealously nurtured by King's Palace, as such, your bloodline's power would be inspired to the most perfect form. Hearing this, Chen Shang was secretly laughing in his heart, for he wasn't a king's vain martial artist. Now he came to realize why anyone who entered the king's mysterious realm never came out. Some people don't have the guts to come in. Such timid people would never get the approval of the king's palace. Therefore, anyone who dares to come in will be considered a member of the king's palace. Of course, you can still leave this place, but if you stay here, you will receive better training. Here you will be cut off from the outside, your heart will be cleansed and your passion will be restricted, you can cultivate the Tao of martial arts in serenity, indifferent of fame and wealth, the middle-aged man said in a peaceful voice. Chen Shang said, a bit embarrassed, Senior, I'm sorry to say that I am not a king's vain martial artist, I am also not a citizen of King's mainland. I was only invited by the Divine Martial Palace to participate in the King's Martial Arts Assembly, which I won luckily. The middle-aged man's eyes went wide in surprise as he looked at Chen Shang with disbelief. That's impossible. The king's vain martial artists would not have declined so much. How could they possibly be defeated by martial artists from other mainlands? Senior, if you don't believe it, you can ask the Divine Martial Palace Lord. Chen Shang heaved a sigh and said. He believed that this middle-aged man must have secluded himself from the outside world in day-to-day life. However, he had made the Divine Martial Palace aware of this palace nevertheless, therefore, the Divine Martial Palace didn't dare to mess with the reward. Although Chen Shang only saw 2 people after having arrived at this enormous king's palace, he was sure that there were still many super powerful old codgers in here. More importantly, all of them were king's vain martial artists. Such a strength sure was extremely formidable. Now he came to understand why the king's mainland remained unscathed during the last great battle of 3 realms. The Divine Martial Palace is just a branch of King's Palace. For many years, they have been responsible for hosting the King's Martial Arts Assembly. I believe that they should not have made a mistake. It's just that you have surprised me so much. You were actually able to defeat the King's vain martial artists of my King's mainland. The middle-aged man surprisingly believed Chen Shang so soon. Chen Shang pursed his lips and said, you really should manage that Divine Martial Palace a bit. Your King's vain martial artists haven't declined at all. It's just that there are some people who have the power to hide the truth from the masses. They want to manipulate the entire King's Martial Arts Assembly. The middle-aged man's face was lined with furrows after hearing this. Are you telling the truth? Chen Shang made a harumph in a low voice as he said, in order to get the Divine Martial Palace Lord haphazardly gave the evil skeleton martial soul which was a relic of the devil Lord Evil Skeleton to his treasured apprentice. Next, Chen Shang began to narrate what he saw in his own experience when he participated in the King's Martial Arts Assembly to the middle-aged man. Because he reckoned that this middle-aged man should be the master of this king's palace. Currently, the Divine Martial Palace's atmosphere wasn't very good. If this continued, something big might happen. For instance, Wang Quan could seize other mainlands to fulfill his own ambitions and expand his influence. This wasn't impossible at all. The middle-aged man was secretly furious, but there was no change in his expression or his voice, for it still hadn't been verified. After hearing everything, the middle-aged man said, lamenting, men are not what they were in the times of long ago. I will send someone to investigate it clearly. Little brother, it's a pity that you aren't a king's vain martial artists, you won't be able to receive human king's inheritance. Chen Shang laughed and said, it's all right, I have my own teacher anyway. If the opportunity presented itself in the future, I want to compare notes with the King's Palace martial artists. I wonder what's the name of little brother's sect? Only now did the middle-aged man wanted to ask the origins of Chen Shang. However, he also appeared to be less concerned about it. Extreme martial sect and my teacher is Huang Jintian, Chen Shang answered right away. Just as the name Huang Jintian entered his ears, the middle-aged man was totally startled. He said, so it was like this. In other words, you cultivate in Tai Chi subduing dragon exercise, you have yin and yang vein. Chen Shang nodded his affirmation. He didn't expect this middle-aged man to actually know of his teacher. A sharp gleam immediately flashed past the middle-aged man's eyes as he looked at Chen Shang thoughtfully. Then, he said, although you can't become a member of the King's Palace, I will still give you a reward, it can be regarded as a compensation. A reward? Chen Shang originally believed he had to return empty-handed, but now he was secretly excited. This king's palace was the strongest existence of the king's mainland, they sure won't be stingy in their rewards. The middle-aged man raised his head as he looked at a huge crystal ball in the stone room. Only now did Chen Shang discovered this thing. But he didn't think that this was a treasure. Chapter 444, A Huge Reward. The middle-aged could guess what Chen Shang must be thinking. He chuckled and said, "This is not the reward I want to give you, it will let you see a person." "Who am I meeting?" Chen Shang immediately felt extremely disappointed. What kind of a reward was meeting a person? He may as well receive some real treasure. When Chen Zhang's gaze landed on that crystal ball, a gust of gentle aura emanated from the crystal ball suddenly, projecting on the ground. A translucent figure, seemingly false and real at the same time, appeared before Chen Shang. Seeing this man, Chen Shang was momentarily dumbfounded. Meanwhile, that middle-aged man hastily bowed down to greet. "Your Excellency, it's a bit complicated, please listen to me first." In fact, Chen Shang recognized the man projected by the crystal ball. It was none other than Wu Kanghong, whom Chen Shang had met under the Hero's Mountain earlier. When that middle-aged man addressed Wu Kanghong as, "Your Excellency," it was quite evident that Wu Kanghong may very well be the human king. TLN. What author has used as Da Dian Zhu, roughly translated as Great Palace Lord, but I changed it to Your Excellency. Wu Kanghong broke into laughter as he said, "Little brother, we are really destined, we meet again." The middle-aged man had not yet had the time to report the matter before he heard Wu Kanghong's word, which greatly surprised him. Much to his surprise, Chen Shang had met their human king. Furthermore, from the looks of it, their relation was pretty good as well. It was very difficult to be appreciated by the human king. The middle-aged man was quite familiar with Wu Kanghong's personality, he rarely saw that kind of expression in Wu Kanghong's eyes when meeting others. Wu Kanghong was someone who cultivated in Shinto. And Shinto cultivators were pretty rare. Therefore, he was very friendly with Chen Shang because he believed that Chen Shang was just like him. In the future, maybe he could discuss the Shinto cultivation with Chen Shang. "You go out first, let him tell me about this matter himself," Wu Kanghong said. That middle-aged man immediately peeked a glance at Chen Shang with an incomprehensible look in his eyes before promptly taking his leave from this stone room. Chen Shang burst into a mischievous laugh as he said, "Senior Wu, your background is really big. You turned out to be the illustrious human king." Listening to Chen Zhang's remark, Wu Kanghong shook his head as he broke into laughter. "Human king my ass, it's a title given to me by others. I was just a bit powerful in my clan which later brought about the development of my clansmen, nothing more, nothing less. Tell me, how did you come here? You wouldn't have won that King's Martial Arts Assembly, have you?" Chen Shang roared with laughter as he nodded and said, "I am sorry, your king's vain martial artists were beaten by me." Thereafter, he once again narrated the details of King's Martial Arts Assembly to Wu Kanghong. After Wu Kanghong came to know of that evil skeleton martial soul matter, he fumed with anger. "This Wang Quan is looking down on my king's palace more and more. It looks like, after managing the divine martial palace for many years, his ambition has grown a lot. As for how to deal with him, it would depend on King's Palace of the mortal world. I am from heavenly realm, I can't intervene in mortal world's matter. This is a principle, although I may not adhere to the rules, this thing is conscious, or else all the worlds would fall into disorder. Then, senior, so to say, I will not be getting any reward, will I?" "What a pity," Chen Shang said, sighing intentionally. "Kiddo, are you still not satisfied after getting the Luo Tian door? I can't give you anything now and also can't order the king's palace to give you anything. However, I can tell you the location of a hidden herb garden. It might not be a mysterious realm but it's a bit dangerous." Chen Zhang's eyes immediately lit up. This was a pretty big reward. He hastily asked, "Where is that place?" "It's in the king's mainland. Let loose your mind, I will impart the map into your brain," Wu Kanghong said. Chen Shang closed his eyes as he let loose his entire body. Suddenly some extra information appeared in his mind, it was a map. The map was very vast and detailed, pointing to a remote place from the king's city. More importantly, the route to it was quite dangerous. "This is given to me by a guy named Li Tianjin. He is one crazy guy who is mad about alchemy, and very stingy to boot. He once stayed in King's mainland for some time, where he planted a herb garden. However, now, he has already arrived at the heavenly realm, therefore, that herb garden has been deserted already. He also didn't leave any behind, so, he told it to me. In fact, I was cheated by him at first, and that's the only reason I got this useless herb garden. Dan King Li Tianjin, Chen Shang and Su Meiyao were greatly taken aback all of a sudden. Earlier, he was rumored to have died already. Now, it appeared that he was quite alive and kicking. In the past, when Chen Shang was making his way to the extreme martial sect, he had obtained a herb garden which was also left behind Li Tianjin. Then, once again, he had encountered the second herb garden in Lu family's Herb King Mountain. And from there, he had gotten the clue of the top mysterious realm. World's first mysterious realm, where all kinds of rare and precious herb could be found. In the past, Li Tianjin had been hunted down because of this. Chen Shang had a detailed map. A year or so after Chen Shang had obtained that map, there were indications of the occurrence of a solar eclipse. However, at that time, Chen Shang had missed it. Therefore, he was waiting for next time. At that time, his still wasn't strong enough to traverse through various mainlands. But now, it was different. He had been waiting for the solar eclipse to approach because the mysterious realm would open only then. That guy had also said that he was quite famous in the mortal martial world. And now, he is still doing rather well in the alchemist's circle of heavenly realm. This guy is a genius. He is quite proficient in alchemy, refining equipment, as well as in arranging arrays. And he is quite powerful, and also somewhat crafty, said Wu Kanghong. Chen Shang broke into laughter and said, when I arrive at the heavenly realm, I have to thank him. The herb gardens left behind by him had brought me no small amount of benefits. I had chanced upon 2 of his herb garden earlier. I will sure to tell him this. Well, I hope that next time I see it will be in the heavenly realm. I am looking forward to that day, Wu Kanghong said, laughing. And waving his hand at Chen Shang, his figure slowly disappeared. Chen Shang left the stone room himself, a smile on his face. After that middle-aged man saw Chen Shang, he asked, how did you know His Excellency? Chen Shang, pretending to be mysterious, replied, it's a secret. He asked me not to reveal it. I want to return now. Although he had to retrieve that reward himself, Chen Shang thought that it was a pretty good harvest already. Seeing the expression in Chen Zhang's eyes, that middle-aged man led Chen Shang respectfully to a hall. In the hall, there was a teleportation array. The middle-aged man promptly activated the transmission array after Chen Shang stood on it. Immediately after, Chen Shang disappeared and appeared before the entrance of that huge palace of Divine Martial Palace, where Wu Kaming and Ji Yu Dongchen was waiting for him. They were worried that Wang Quan had secretly assassinated Chen Shang. I am all right, let's go back. Chen Shang broke into a laugh as he assured them. After Hua Shangyu and Lu Menger, who were standing in the pavilion far away, heard it, they too left with ease. Scoundrel, when are you coming back? I am still not convinced about my defeat, I still want to fight with you. Lanlin, followed by an old man, shouted aloud from afar. Hearing this, Chen Shang could not help but burst into laughter as he said, you want me to look for you for a fight? Why don't you pay a visit yourself? Why would I come and look for you? But even if you come, we have to see if I am in the mood. HMPH, even if you don't want to, you have to. This lady here is the strongest woman of the blue blood family. Lanlin harumphed charmingly, sticking her tongue out at Chen Shang. By the sight of her wry face, Chen Shang and the others suddenly couldn't help but laugh. Mo Tian hadn't arrived, he had already left with his clansmen. It was also the first time Chen Shang had ever seen an elder of blue blood family. It was that smiling old man sitting next to Lanlin. Bidding goodbyes to Lanlin, Chen Shang and the others stepped into the teleportation array. With the conclusion of King's Martial Arts Assembly, Chen Zhang's name had spread far and wide across the entire King's mainland. I will come back. When Chen Shang stepped into the teleportation array, he said in his heart, as there's still that huge reward he needed to retrieve himself. Chapter 445, Elder Dan's Decision. Having returned to the extreme martial sect, Chen Shang came to the extreme Dan King courtyard without further ado and then, just slept. When Chen Shang woke up, a silhouette dressed in black and a white muslin on its face suddenly entered his gaze, scaring the hell out of him. He was so scared that he let out a sharp scream. What the hell is wrong with you? You scared me to death. Chen Shang shouted snappily. At first, he had been scared by Elder Dan, however, now, he was rather happy to see her because he finally got to see Elder Dan after so long. Elder Dan harumphed lightly and said, where is the herb garden? I moved it because of some things. Therefore, at that time, I thought I may have to escape. However, due to my vigorous effort to turn the tide, I was able to save the situation and avoided getting hunted down, explained Chen Shang. Taking out a white jade lotus seed, Chen Shang gave it to Elder Dan and said, laughing, "Little girl, this is for you, consider as a repayment for giving me the 5-element true elemental Dan's herbs last time, it really helped me a lot." Elder Dan was taken aback momentarily before taking it. She would never say no to anything given by Chen Shang. "Very conscientious of you. Tell me the truth, have you learned the refining simulation technique?" Elder Dan asked. Although she sounded cold, Chen Shang could feel that her attitude towards him had turned for better. There was a kind of inexplicable gentleness. He couldn't help but act in a well-behaved manner. Chen Shang nodded his affirmation as he replied, "Yes. I didn't expect that you would even know about this." Elder Dan, storing the white jade lotus seed, turned around and said, "Of course, I would know about it. Don't think that I would not know anything since I had gone into seclusion for training. Little girl, why didn't you greet me, or addressed me as Martial Uncle for that matter? Just now, I gave you such a precious thing and you still haven't thanked me." Chen Shang said, laughing. Elder Dan countered, speaking in a cold voice, "Don't you want to look at my appearance?" Chen Shang was immediately tempted. "That's all I have been dreaming of. You mean to say you will show me now? As I have said, as long as you can defeat me, I will be yours. However, you still have a long way to go." Chen Shang immediately snorted and said, "Then, why all this bullshitting? Do you like teasing me?" Elder Dan suddenly heaved a light sigh and said, "You have 3 years, in these 3 years you have to refine a low-grade earth-level Dan for me. Then, we will have an alchemy contest, and as long as you won, I will accept my defeat." Her sigh was full of complex emotions, which Chen Shang found difficult to understand. He came to realize that Elder Dan must have encountered something. "Why?" Chen Shang, pondering for a moment, asked. The current Elder Dan gave off the impression that she could not wait to marry him. But he used to think that Elder Dan was just speaking dismissively. How could she possibly become his just after getting defeated? He was skeptical about it and treated it as a nonsense. "I am preparing for my 8th tribulation. Therefore, if you want to see my face, this is your last chance." Elder Dan's voice was filled with helplessness. Chen Shang immediately felt a twinge of pain upon hearing. He felt a bit sad and very dejected as well. "You can choose to not cross the tribulation, can't you? Haven't many people done the same?" said Chen Shang. Mysterious and cold as Elder Dan was always, Chen Shang felt that he could get along with her. He regarded her as a good friend. Furthermore, both were alchemists, so, Chen Shang could not bear to part with her. "No, I don't want to act timid in my life, ever. You know, if I shrank once, I will shrink twice. Then, I won't have the guts to face the Nirvana tribulation ever again. That's why many Nirvana realm martial artists die of old age. My strength has arrived at a bottleneck, I have already done all level of preparations," Elder Dan replied in a stern voice. Refining a low-grade earth-level Dan in 3 years. At present, Chen Zhang's divine sense and flame had already reached the threshold. What left was finding the herbs, which was rather difficult. If Elder Dan failed to cross her tribulation, it would be impossible for Chen Shang to see what Elder Dan looked like. "My master can, I'll go to him. However, even if I knew what I will be facing in the Nirvana tribulation, a certain level of danger is still there. It's impossible to have a complete assurance. Therefore, I am giving you 3 years for you to prove that you can be as good as me," Elder Dan said in a serious manner. Chen Shang felt depressed. "Even if I can have you, so what? You still have to cross your tribulation, don't you? Furthermore, I don't want to marry you, haven't I said that Shenxian has to agree first? I just want to take a look at your face." After 3 years, Chen Shang would be in his 30s. If he could refine earth-level Dans by then, that would make him the topmost genius of the world. Elder Dan thought that if she could find a man with such a talent as a support, it wasn't unwise at all. And as she herself was an alchemist, the two would get along far better. HMPH, anyway, you have to treat this contest seriously. It may be my last alchemy contest. Furthermore, I haven't had a man until now, I want to let a man worthy of me to look at my face before I die," said Elder Dan. Chen Shang heaved a long sigh. "Sigh, if I came to like you, wouldn't it make me sad if you want to cross the tribulation? But, it's also possible for me to successfully cross the tribulation," said Elder Dan. In order to ease up the atmosphere, Chen Shang deliberately laughed and said, "It seems that I can only give it a try. As long as you become mine, you will be at my mercy. Hey, I always wanted to strip you clean." Elder Dan, noticing Chen Zhang's perverted gaze focused on her chest, tenderly snorted, "I will see you again after 3 years." As suddenly as Elder Dan came, she left as quickly as well. Chen Shang heaved a sigh, shaking his head. He knew that he had slept for a long while already. At this time, rubbing his hands, he said as his lips rose into a perverted smile, "Beautiful sisters, are you ready?" Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu, in order to encourage Chen Shang into getting the fruit of fortune, promised Chen Shang that they will kiss him if he could get the fruit of fortune. It was one thing to say at that time, but acting on it was another. Now, it was the time to follow up on it. They were feeling a bit reluctant. Although they could break their promise, they didn't want to cheat Chen Shang. Not to mention, it was not the first time for Su Meiyao already. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu came out of the ring. They were wearing the very same beautiful dresses bought by Chen Shang. Su Meiyao was wearing an elegant bluish-purple one-piece, that was decorated with embroidery. When that kind of beautiful dress was worn by such a charming and seductive woman, it added much to her elegance and charm, giving her a graceful bearing. Bai Yuyu, on the other hand, was wearing a pure white one-piece, which boosted her elegance and charm even more so. She was completely surrounded by a noble and dignified air. And those ice-cold pupils of hers were staring at Chen Shang with an inexplicable tenderness. As soon as Chen Shang thought of kissing this elegant and cold beauty, Chen Zhang's blood started boiling, filling him up with excitement and anticipation. "HMPH, who do you want first?" Su Meiyao, seeing Chen Shang staring at them with a dishonest gaze, spat down on the ground. Chen Shang very much wanted to say, "Both of you, come together." Imagining kissing the two peerless fairies at the same time, an evil fire rose in Chen Zhang's lower abdomen. Chapter 446, Kissing the Goddesses. Chen Shang wanted to try kissing the two beauty at the same time. However, he dared not propose it. After all, if angered them into leaving him, he would lose lot more than he could gain. And who to kiss first was also a problem. Chen Shang, gazing at their stunning faces, wondered in his mind who to kiss first. "Hurry up," Su Meiyao urged Chen Shang. She could not stand his fervent gaze. "Is there a difference as to who I kissed?" Chen Shang, gazing at Su Meiyao, broke into mischievous laughter as he said, "Sister Meiyao, we have kissed once already, as such you have some experience in it. Let's demonstrate before Sister Yuyu once, so that she won't be so nervous." Hearing this, a tint of red immediately appeared on Bai Yuyu's face as she rolled her eyes at Chen Shang. "Watching you and that master and apprentice duo kissing so many times, I and senior sister have already grown numb," Su Meiyao said, giggling. She was quite open about this. She was rather familiar with Chen Shang. Furthermore, she also liked Chen Shang a bit. Seeing Chen Shang getting closer, Su Meiyao's heart also started racing. A tint of red appeared on her face, adding much to her charm. She slowly closed her pretty eyes, only to feel Chen Zhang's arm getting around her waist. Chen Shang said with a chuckle, "Sister Meiyao, it's been a long while." He took a long whiff out of the sweet fragrance wafting off Su Meiyao's body as he pressed his lips against hers and pried open her lips with his tongue. Su Meiyao also went along with Chen Shang, allowing her tongue to entwine around Chen Zhang's. Immediately a bizarre numbing sensation coursed through her entire body, giving rise to an inexplicable euphoria. She could not help but tightly hug Chen Shang, pressing her tender body against Chen Zhang's robust body tightly. She could not wait to become one with Chen Shang. Watching Su Meiyao getting aroused, the nearby Bai Yuyu also found it unbelievable. However, imagining herself acting like the same with Chen Shang, she felt very tensed and afraid, but there was a bit of anticipation as well. She felt extremely conflicted. Her heart was gripped with complex emotions. A stunner like Su Meiyao had evoked the most primitive desire of Chen Zhang's. However, he also knew that he couldn't go too far, for Su Meiyao was a peerless expert, she was aloof. Chen Shang could not cross the line, otherwise, there would be awkwardness between them in the future. At present, he found it quite sufficient already. Although they were just kissing, he felt incomparably satisfied. What made him unusually excited was the fact that Bai Yuyu was watching them. The tightly embracing Chen Shang and Su Meiyao were totally engrossed in the wonderful pleasure of kissing. Having tasted the sweetness last time, she had always hoping to try it again. However, it was rather difficult to voice out her opinion. And later, when she saw Chen Shang passionately kissing Shui Shenxian often, she felt jealous. The two finally parted, God knows after how long. Chen Shang, watching Su Meiyao with deep love, this ravishing beauty, he felt inexplicably satisfied. A drunk look filled Su Meiyao's eyes, glittering with complex emotions. She licked her lips as she tenderly snorted. Little rascal, just now, you couldn't wait to eat this elder sister completely, so dangerous. Chen Shang pursed his lips into a mischievous smile as he touched Su Meiyao's face. Sister Meiyao, it felt good, right? Su Meiyao smacked Chen Zhang's arm away immediately as she let out a harumph before returning back to the ring. Bai Yuyu, on the other hand, was standing in a daze. At this moment, she felt like a deer, tensed and panic-stricken. After all, it was the first time for her to do such intimate things with a man. Because of this, the iceberg temperament of her had disappeared suddenly. Although her face still bore the ice-cold look, in Chen Zhang's eyes, she was a naive and inexperienced girl. Chen Shang started walking towards Bai Yuyu. In fact, he was more nervous than Bai Yuyu, a bit terrified too. He was afraid that Bai Yuyu would suddenly return, leaving his lips to kiss the empty air only, which he would regret his entire life. Sister Yuyu, if you don't want to do it with me, I won't force you. And don't worry, I will never blame you, Chen Shang said, as gently as possible. His eyes, filled with deep love, were staring at Bai Yuyu. Bai Yuyu pursed her lips ever so lightly. Of course, she knew what was going on in Chen Zhang's mind. Although he was saying this, it was quite evident that he wanted to kiss her very much. Sister Yuyu, you are a saintess in my eyes. Chen Shang had yet to finish his sentence before Bai Yuyu raised her head. Those ice-cold eyes of her had already melted away. As she looked at Chen Shang, all that left in her eyes were tender feelings. Much to Chen Zhang's surprise, she took the initiative and stood on her toes before pressing her lips against his and then, wrapping her arms around Chen Zhang's robust body ever so tightly. In that very moment, Chen Zhang's mind went completely blank. The same was true for Bai Yuyu. However, Chen Shang pushed his tongue out unconsciously, leading along that inexperienced tongue of Bai Yuyu, teasing her so that she won't be so rough and shy. It may have been the first time for Bai Yuyu to kiss a man, she had done sufficient preparations already. She knew what to do. At this point, she also actively took part in it. She let her soft and fragrant tongue entwine with Chen Zhang's. The two hugged each tightly, kissing each other unwittingly. The two wanted to melt the other and then fuse into one. Chen Shang was sucking Bai Yuyu's tongue quite vigorously. Although what Bai Yuyu cultivated was freezing cold true qi, her tender tongue was unusually warm. Chen Shang liked it very much. Because of this, the pleasure was greatly amplified, giving him a rush of extreme euphoria. Only Bai Yuyu came to know why every time Su Meiyao and Chen Zhang's kissed, her face would be flushed completely red. She also came to realize as to why every time Shui Shenxian and Lu Menjie kissed Chen Shang, they looked so intoxicated. It was all because of that kind of indescribably marvelous feeling which made her sunk into depravity. Chen Shang and Bai Yuyu kissed for a long time because Chen Shang knew that it would be very difficult for him to kiss her again. He very much wanted to keep hugging this beauty until sea ran dry and rocks crumbled. Unknowingly, the two separated from each other on their own. On that beautiful face of hers which always bore an icy look, a warm and intoxicated flush had emerged. It was very charming. This was also the first time Chen Shang had seen such a look on her. Bai Yuyu, hanging her head slightly, said gently, Chen Shang, thank you very much for letting me experience this kind of happiness. Having said that, she transformed into a streak of light as she entered the ring. Chen Shang heaved a sigh of lament in his heart. At this moment, he felt as if he had lost his entire world. HMPH, the harder it is to get, the more you want it. Little rascal, you are pretty lewd. Su Meiyao tenderly snorted. She could clearly see the kind of feelings that Chen Shang had for Bai Yuyu. Of course, knowing what a philanderer Chen Shang was, Su Meiyao knew Chen Shang had desires for her as well. Just a moment ago, when they were closely hugging each other, she could feel that thing growing madly on top of her abdomen as he got aroused. Recalling this point, Su Meiyao's face once again flushed red because that thing was pressed against her for a very long time. At this point, Chen Shang was lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling in a daze, savoring the taste of kissing the two ravishing beauties. When he was kissing Su Meiyao, he was burning with an evil desire to conquer her. However, when he kissed Bai Yuyu, he didn't have any kind of such thoughts. He had no idea what Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had experienced, but he knew that they had extremely powerful enemies. More importantly, they had currently lost their strength. In order to guard the two goddesses, he had to become stronger. Chapter 447, Returning to the King's Mainland. Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had witnessed Chen Zhang's growth, step by step. Since his youth, the pains and labors he had suffered didn't go unnoticed to them. Their heart ached when they saw Chen Zhang go through all sorts of hardships just to speed up his growth. And the main reason behind all this was them, all in order to fulfill the contract he had signed with them at the Immortal and Devil Cliff. However, Chen Zhang had never complained or anything, which moved them very much. Over time, they came to have peculiar feelings for Chen Zhang, and even they could hardly describe it clearly. After having rested for 2 days, he sought Yun Xiaodao and the others to have a meal together before leaving the extreme martial province. At present, he still had one last reward he had yet to obtain. And that was the very herb garden which Wu Kanghong had told him about. He didn't want to go alone at all, so, he went to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire to look for Lu Menger. Having arrived at the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire, Chen Zhang didn't find Lu Menger. An elder told him that Lu Menger had gone to the Icewind Valley, where she would be staying for some time. Apparently, there was a secret place there, where she was helping Leng Yulin and Shui Shenxian in cultivation. In the beginning, Chen Zhang came for Leng Yulin because Leng Yulin had always wanted to take an adventure trip with him. He was also planning to take Shui Shenxian. With their strength, it would not have been a problem to look for the herb garden in the King's mainland. Regretfully, he could not find anyone. Having left the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire, Chen Zhang came to Fragrance City in the Taoyuan province. He came here to look for the seductive Hua Shangyu. When Hua Shangyu came to know Chen Zhang came looking for her, she arrived immediately. For what do I owe the pleasure? How about I take you to the Danxiang Taoyuan? You can directly come to me there in the future. Hua Shangyu was wearing a simple dress, a set of black tights and a ponytail for her hairstyle. Be that as it may, it could not cover that charming and captivating figure of hers. For now, let's not. Rather, I want you to come with me, said Chen Zhang. To ensure safety, he was planning on taking Hua Shangyu with him. Hua Shangyu was an alchemist and the head of Danxiang Taoyuan. The tycoons of various mainlands would give a face to her. Most importantly, she was extremely strong as well. Now, Chen Zhang was ordering Hua Shangyu as if she was his maid. You finally came to realize how good I am, Hua Shangyu said, laughing charmingly. After the revelation of her identity, the tycoons of all mainlands treated her with great respect, as if they were afraid to offend her. This gave her a superiority complex, especially in front of Chen Zhang, this little man. All the more reason for Chen Zhang to wonder as to why a woman of her stature would be willing to be his maid. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with her head. More importantly, she was the empress in the alchemists' community. If it was some mediocre woman throwing herself into his arm, it would be rather normal. At present, there were many tycoons who were willing to offer their daughters, hand in marriage to Chen Zhang. Some famous beauties of other mainlands even came to extreme martial sect after having come to know Chen Zhang's deeds, to get closer to him. And Chen Zhang was pretty well aware of their aim. All they wanted to get was his Tai Chi subduing dragon exercise, as well as to climb up the ladder using a young alchemist like him, allowing them to enjoy various precious dands. On the other hand, Hua Shangyu had been trying to get closer to him since the time when he was just a nameless figure. If my guess is right, you first went to your sister Menger, and when you couldn't find her, only then, you came looking for me. Hua Shangyu rebuked, pretending to be angry. Pinching Chen Zhang, she continued, little rascal, hurry up and tell me, where are you taking this elder sister? My hands are full, you know. Chen Zhang cried in pain as he grabbed those slender hands of Hua Shangyu. I want to go to the king's mainland to look for a herb garden. That herb garden is quite far away from the king's capital. More importantly, the route is a bit dangerous as well. If I want, I can ask my 2 martial nephews to accompany me, but elder sister, you are more important to me, so, I came to you. If Wu Kaming and Ji Yu Dongchen came to know this, Chen Zhang would definitely be swore at for paying more attention to a lover over friends. Chen Zhang felt that taking a long trip with Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Kaming would be too boring. However, if a beauty was accompanying him, especially a captivating beauty like Hua Shangyu, it would be a different matter altogether. He could also take liberties with her, while at it. How could Hua Shangyu, after having lived for such a long while, not see what was going on in Chen Zhang's mind? However, she was still very happy to accompany Chen Shang. Wait a bit for me, let me dress up. Having dropped this sentence, Hua Shangyu left hurriedly. Only after waiting for an hour did Chen Shang saw Hua Shangyu with a mask over her face. Half of her captivating face was veiled by the mask. Even her voluptuous bosom was flattened quite a bit. She must have tied a cloth over them tightly. Hua Shangyu, holding a sword of very poor quality, nudged Chen Shang in his abdomen and said with a charming smile, "If we encounter any danger, just stay and watch from the sidelines, let this lady do everything." Chen Shang, aiming at her chest, said with a perverted laugh, "Your rabbits are tied up too tightly and wrongfully. Quickly let them out and let me massage them, what if they are ruined?" Hua Shangyu knocked on Chen Zhang's head with her scabbard, she wasn't angry at all. She countered with a charming laugh, "You, little rascal, are perverted to the core. Believe it or not, I will tell your sister Menger. What am I afraid of? I have massaged hers, Shenxian's had also been massaged by me. Both of them enjoyed it very much." Chen Shang said, laughing mischievously. Nothing of that sort had happened with Lu Menger, he was just lying to Hua Shangyu. He wanted to see her response. HMPH. Hua Shangyu harumphed in jealousy. She hadn't thought that Chen Shang and Lu Menger's relationship had arrived at this step. Hua Shangyu threw a mask at Chen Shang. The mask was just enough to cover half of the face. Chen Shang had often seen many people wearing them. With this, they could avoid some unnecessary troubles. "How did you come to know about that herb garden?" asked Hua Shangyu as she pulled Chen Shang and took a leap. They flew out of the window at a breakneck speed, before landing next to a teleportation array. The current Chen Shang could bear that kind of speed already. "Don't ask any more, let's just go," said Chen Shang. He had been exhorted by that middle-aged man of King's Palace to keep the matters of King's Palace secret. Activating the transmission array, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu arrived at the king's capital. Hua Shangyu right away brought Chen Shang to her place of residence. "Shangyu, is this yours?" Chen Shang, sitting on the topmost floor of a 4-storied building, asked. A unique fragrance belonging to Hua Shangyu was lingering in the air. It was quite evident that Hua Shangyu came here often. Hua Shangyu, pouring a cup of tea to Chen Shang, said, "I came to the king's mainland a long time ago. Quickly tell me the position of that herb garden, so that I can determining the route." Chen Shang had no idea about the king's mainland, whereas Hua Shangyu had traveled to many mainlands to look for the herbs. Naturally, the king's mainland had not been spared by her. Therefore, she had quite a bit understanding of king's mainland. This is also why Chen Shang didn't look for Ji Yudongshan and the others and came to her. Chen Shang took out a sheet of paper and drew a simple map out of his memories. It only had some lines. Seeing Chen Zhang's map, Hua Shangyu frowned and said, "That place sure is extremely dangerous. If you have gone alone, coming out of alive would have been difficult for you." Chapter 448, Slave. The more dangerous the place is, the more spirit herbs we might find in that herb garden. Chen Shang was currently in need of those high-grade herbs. "How dangerous?" asked Chen Shang. He secretly rejoiced that he didn't go alone. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. "When we arrive there, I will tell you. If there is indeed a herb garden there, I am sure that the spirit herbs there would be extraordinary." Who on earth did build a herb garden there? How long ago was it built? Hua Shangyu was perplexed. "I have looked for spirit herbs in the vicinity of that place and found many spirit herbs, all of which were comparatively rare. The best spirit herbs I have found were high-grade earth-level herbs." Upon hearing this, Chen Shang was extremely excited. He said in a low voice, "It was left behind by Dan King Li Tianjin." "What?" Hua Shangyu cried in shock. "Is that true? I am not lying. To be honest, I have found 2 such herb gardens already." Chen Shang stated as he broke into mischievous laughter. "No wonder a kid like you had so many herbs. So it was like this." Hua Shangyu continued, sighing in lament, "If you had found your sister Menger, you wouldn't have to come to me, right?" Chen Shang said, a smile on his lips, "Of course not. I would have made you accompany me even then." He originally wanted to invite Leng Yuland and Shui Shenxian with him. Fortunately, he couldn't do, otherwise, it would have been troublesome if they arrived at that dangerous place. This herb garden is in the king's mainland and hidden at such dangerous place, it wouldn't be that world's first mysterious realm, would it? Hua Shangyu's eyes gave out radiant splendor, gazing at the map. Chen Shang, shaking his head, said, "It's not the top mysterious realm. It's just a herb garden. Many among the expert alchemists were aware of the matters of Dan King Li Tianjin, because he was a legendary figure in the mortal world. Not only was he famous in the mortal martial world, it was true in other worlds as well. Back then, when he was being hunted down, he had escaped to various worlds, where he left his precious alchemical knowledge. How can you be so sure? Hua Shangyu asked as a frown crept up on her brow. The person who had given me this map told me that it was just a herb garden. Chen Shang, pursing his lips, said. Although Chen Shang knew where the topmost mysterious realm was, he was still not planning to tell the others. Hua Shangyu knew that there was a mysterious expert behind Chen Shang, one with very high attainments in alchemy techniques. So high that they had surpassed even hers. For now, she could only believe that Chen Shang had been informed by that mysterious figure. Let's go, I am in a hurry. I have things to do. Hua Shangyu, wearing the mask and burning the map, brought Chen Shang out of the building. Hua Shangyu was just like Su Meiyao. Both were quite captivating. That kind of charm was completely natural, and none could resist it. Now, Chen Shang, taking those jade-like hands of Hua Shangyu, was slowly walking down the street. They currently looked very much like an affectionate couple. Little rascal, how are you planning to divide with me? When Hua Shangyu felt Chen Shang pulling her hand and rubbing his thumb on the back of her hand from time to time, feeling her smooth beautiful hands, she could not help but snort in her heart repeatedly. Your share sure is there, but let's talk about it when we arrive there. Chen Shang continued with a laugh, don't we look like husband and wife who likes to travel around the world? Hua Shangyu just let out a light harumph in response. However, they sure looked like one. Furthermore, she didn't abhor Chen Shang feeling her hand. Hurry up, I really have something important to do. Hua Shangyu started pulling Chen Shang, increasing their speed. Were it not for the fact that they were in the king's capital, she would have used her fastest speed a long time ago. Chen Shang asked in a low voice, what important thing? Can you tell me? Who are you again? Why should I tell you? Hua Shangyu said, laughing charmingly. Hua Shangyu continued to pull Chen Shang through the streets and out of the king's capital just like this, chatting and laughing. Had it not been for many Nirvana realm experts in the city, Hua Shangyu would not have been acting in such a low-key manner, because the matter of herb garden must be kept secret. After all, this was the king's mainland. If the forces of Diving Martial Palace saw them, they would recognize them for sure. After having made their way out of the city, they came to a secluded place, where Hua Shangyu, dragging Chen Shang, treaded the air, shooting through the sky. They were extremely fast, which made Chen Shang marvel again and again. Furthermore, Hua Shangyu wasn't emitting any kind of fluctuations whatsoever. Just like this, Chen Shang was dragged at a breakneck speed above the clouds. If I don't accept such a captivating woman, the heavens won't tolerate it. Chen Zhang's heart started palpitating. Hua Shangyu had always been wanting to become his maid. As long as he nodded, this captivating woman would be his slave. Thinking of this point, Chen Zhang's heart started to race in excitement. He felt that this matter didn't need Shui Shenxian's approval. After all, taking a maid was his decision. The herb garden was quite a bit far away. It would have taken him far longer than the time it took him to complete the last race. However, all it took half a day for Hua Shangyu to complete one half of the journey. Only when Hua Shangyu thought Chen Shang won't be able to hold on did she stop. Even if Chen Shang had reached the extreme state, moving at such speed and for so long, he was exhausted. Had it been an ordinary person, he would have long collapsed under that kind of pressure. Realizing that Hua Shangyu was pressed for time, Chen Shang felt ashamed and uneasy. Shangyu, I am sorry, I have delayed your important things. HMPH, why are acting all polite with me now? In the future, if you need any kind of help, you can come to me anytime, regardless of anything. Hua Shangyu handed a cup of scented tea to Chen Shang. The flowers for the tea were personally planted and processed into the scented tea by her, not everyone could drink it. After drinking the tea, Chen Shang felt refreshed. According to Su Meiyao, middle-grade profound-level spirit flowers were at the very least used to create this scented tea. They might not be valuable for the alchemy, but they could be used to create the scented tea. Now, Chen Shang was thinking of taking her as his maid. However, he found it rather difficult to voice it out. He found it absurd actually. The honorable chairwoman of Danxiang Taoyuan, the very alchemist who is well respected by tycoons of various mainlands actually wanted to be his maid. Then, if you need my help in anything, you can also tell me, regardless of anything. Although I am weaker than you, in some aspects, I am better than you. Chen Shang said, laughing. I need a few sets of Resurrection Dan herbs. Of course, if you can give me that fruit of fortune, it would be for the best. Hua Shangyu charmingly laughed. Chen Shang stared at her blankly. He sure could give them, but it would need some time. What he was curious about was what Hua Shangyu wanted to do with the Resurrection Dan. Generally, only when one is crossing the Nirvana tribulation, or going to do something very dangerous, they would need it. Seeing Chen Shang in pondering, Hua Shangyu patted him on the shoulder. I was joking with you. Last time, you have given so many to Munger, you should not too many of them, right? You will need what's left, they would be very helpful to you in the future. Of course, if you trust me, I can refine Resurrection Dan for you. Hua Shangyu believed that since Chen Shang had chanced upon two of Dan King Li Tianjin's herb garden, he must have some. Just now, she was just kidding. These herbs would be lifesavers for Chen Shang. I will give them to you. However, I need some time, stated Chen Shang, a smile on his lips. He had decided that after he had given these herbs to Hua Shangyu, he would take her as his maid. It never crossed Hua Shangyu's mind that Chen Shang would agree. No need, you can keep them. I am not so poor. Hold on, we are about to enter the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea. We can't fly there because the entire sky has red bolts of lightning everywhere. Furthermore, the mountains here are very tall, and dark all around the year. Chen Shang nodded. Pulling him, Hua Shangyu continued to fly high up in the sky. After a short while, Chen Shang heard deafening thunderclaps coming from the front before round after round of bolts of lightning filled his sight. Chapter 449, Blood Lightning Mountain Sea. Blood Lightning Mountain Sea, as the name dubbed it, there was nothing but mountains in Chen Zhang's sight, endless sea of mountains, which were shrouded by thick dark clouds. The entire area was extremely dark. However, it was dyed red from time to time from the intermittent flashes of lightning, all of which were as red as blood. The entire range of mountains, under this bloody red light, looked extremely eerie. Hua Shangyu landed on the ground, her face extremely serious. She pulled Chen Shang closely as she started walking gingerly. What is it? Asked Chen Shang. Hua Shangyu was in no way weak. She was an expert who had crossed 7 Nirvana tribulations. Last time, when she had released that perishing golden body of hers, Yu Zhonglin of Proud Sword Sect didn't dare to utter as much as a single word. Judging from how cautious Hua Shangyu was acting, it was quite evident that the danger level of this place was extraordinary. We have to cross this Blood Lightning Mountain Sea to reach that herb garden. This Blood Lightning Mountain Sea is spread over a vast area, so vast that the entire area is bigger than the area of 2 Chenwu mainlands combined. Furthermore, these mountains have formed a very huge circle, surrounding a large piece of land. This area is at least 5 to 6 times bigger than a mainland. And rarely anyone trespasses on this land, as this Blood Lightning Mountain Sea is extremely dangerous. TLN, think of the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea as the circumference of a circle. Chen Shang had long known that King's mainland was very vast. However, he never thought that this place would be so bizarre and dangerous. So to say, thus Blood Lightning Mountain Sea had created a barrier, protecting the center. Said Chen Shang. Hua Shangyu nodded her affirmation. Right, there are creatures in here called lightning beasts. These creatures are different from demon beasts. The demon beasts can evolve into spirit beasts, profound beasts, and then, take a human form. However, these lightning beasts can't. They grow stronger by engulfing the blood lightning throughout the year. Their mind is filled with the urge to eat lightning and destructive thoughts. They are very violent creatures. Many are on par with the Nirvana realm cultivators. Chen Shang drew a cold lump of air. He now came to know what Hua Shangyu was afraid of. Let's go. If and when we encounter any kind of danger, you must escape. Hua Shangyu, pulling Chen Zhang's hand, continued, stay close to me, I have gone in once, I know the route. Chen Shang was moved. Sister Shangyu, you are really good to me. Hua Shangyu said, harumphing tenderly, of course, but you just don't seem to appreciate it. When did that happen? Didn't I say I will give you those herbs? That's a little token of my regards, it's you who don't appreciate it. Rebuked Chen Shang. Keep them for yourself, I don't need them. She may have said this, but she was pleased in her heart. Indeed, she needed them very much, but she knew it was difficult to get. Such life-saving herbs were hard to come by. Chen Shang might need them in the future, if and when he encountered any misfortune. Chen Shang did not say anything. The decision he had taken would never be changed, no matter what. Not to mention, it wasn't anything difficult for him, it was just a matter of time. The fruit of fortune he had awarded had been handed to Su Meiyao for planting a while back. And after having poured a large amount of golden dragon saliva, it had already grown into a small tree. Hua Shangyu sure was familiar with this place. Wherever she went, it wasn't struck by that red lightning. Only after entering this place did Chen Shang came to realize the danger of this place. These red lightning bolts were brimming with a vast amount of energy. Whenever they struck down, a huge mountain would surely be destroyed. Furthermore, the energy would also seep into the ground, causing the mountains to shake. Dense as these red bolts of lightning were, they rarely struck the ground. However, if someone were to fly high in the sky or get sensed by the red lightning, he or she would be out of luck. Chen Shang wasn't afraid of lightning strikes at all. After all, when he had started cultivating the Azure Dragon Divine exercise, he needed to attract the lightning into his body sometimes. However, this blood lightning was far more different than ordinary lightning. Chen Shang didn't know if he could endure them. Hua Shangyu led Chen Shang through the mountains for 3 days. All along the way, nothing happened. Nonetheless, Hua Shangyu remained vigilant all the time. Chen Shang didn't say anything along the way as well. Only when they were resting would he flirt with Hua Shangyu a few times. Sister Shangyu, I want to start refining middle-grade profound level dans. If you find anything, please help me get them, stated Chen Shang. You sure have come a long way so quickly. Hua Shangyu praised Chen Shang, nodding. Over these days, she had been taken advantage of by Chen Shang quite a few times. Not only had Chen Shang caressed her face, he had laid his hands on her thighs from time to time. Even those curvaceous buttocks of her had been felt a few times. After having rested, just as they took a few steps, the ground suddenly started shaking wildly. Many large pieces of boulders came rolling down the mountain. Flashes of red lightning had also filled the entire sky as peals of thunder deafened everything. The scene before them was simply terrifying. Chen Shang raised his head to look, only to see bolts of red lightning madly coming down on a tall mountain, causing the ground to shake violently. A lightning beast is engulfing blood lightning there. Hua Shangyu's stunning face turned serious as she looked at those glittering red snakes in the sky. The dark sea of mountains was dyed in glaring red. Flashes after flashes made the mountains extremely appalling. Furthermore, the deafening rumbles and roaring of the ground rang to no end. If someone with a weak heart was here, he would have fainted already. Hurry up, we have to escape this place quickly. Hua Shangyu cried in an anxious voice. Just then, a red flash of lightning blazed in the sky before Chen Shang was sent flying as he felt a warm energy coursing through his body. At this moment, the red lightning in the sky had disappeared. Much to their surprise, the one who had bolted down from that tall mountain turned out to be a red-armored giant. Furthermore, a small figure donning a red armor also stood behind him. These two red-armored figures looked extremely scary. From head to toe, their entire bodies were covered in thick red armor. From time to time, thin red arcs of lightning would glitter around their bodies as well. The biggest of the two was as tall as 3 men combined, while the smallest figure was still 2 heads taller than Chen Shang. Apparently, it was Hua Shangyu who sent Chen Shang flying using her strength. And the place where Hua Shangyu stood had red arcs of lightning running amok. Much to Chen Zhang's astonishment, these arcs of lightning had gathered into an array. From the memories, Chen Shang recognized the array to be a ceiling-type array. Hua Shangyu is in danger. Just when Chen Shang wanted to rush over, Hua Shangyu let out a tender snort before slamming her foot on the ground lightly. The ground shook momentarily as spider web-like cracks spread from her position, spreading towards all direction. And that array created by those arcs of lightning was subsequently destroyed. You go deal with that little brat, leave this woman to me. The bigger red-armored giant caught the smaller red-armored man and threw him towards Chen Shang. Upon seeing this, Hua Shangyu took a leap gracefully, smacking a palm towards that smaller red-armored man. However, the bigger red-armored giant promptly waved his arm, releasing a red bolt of lightning. Chen Shang, be careful. Be careful of his blood lightning. Hua Shangyu exhorted. At this moment, she was being attacked continuously by that red-armored giant with red lightning, forcing Hua Shangyu to defend herself. That kind of lightning bolts were extremely fast and utterly powerful. Every time she blocked them, shockwaves would immediately burst forth. At one glance, it was quite evident how powerful they were. Chen Shang could see that the red-armored men were father and son. Surprisingly, the father was on par with Hua Shangyu. As for how powerful the younger one was, it remained to be seen. I have not eaten a human for a long time. Rumor has it that eating human flesh and drinking their blood would allow us to become stronger," said the red-armored figure, standing before Chen Shang, laughing in a gruff voice. Chen Shang promptly took out the azure dragon slaughtering devil blade and said, a cold smile on his lips, "Want to eat me? Dream on. Don't underestimate the humans." Just as Chen Zhang's voice faded away, tens of red lightning bolts emerged from that red-armored figure, and came flying at Chen Shang, just like a hail of bloody red arrows. Chapter 450, The Blood Lightning Demi-Human. With a loud thunderclap, Chen Shang hurriedly smacked a palm. The vigorous energy over his palm burst forth with an intense shockwave that promptly scattered the red lightning bolts fired by that red-armored boy. Chen Shang had no idea whether these creatures were lightning beasts or not, as they looked much like humans. Moreover, they could speak as well. Only their act of engulfing the blood lightning bolts in this blood lightning mountain sea stated otherwise. What was most fearsome about them was their strength. They were dreadfully powerful. The bigger guy was even on par with Hua Shangyu. The red-armored boy was slightly taken aback. He never imagined that this weak-looking human before him would actually be so powerful. That powerful shockwave not only scattered his attack, the shock had also messed up the energy in his body completely. "Chen Shang, can you deal with that little guy? I will draw this big guy away. If I fight with him here, it will certainly affect you as well," Hua Shangyu asked Chen Shang with her divine sense. "I should be able to. How about you?" answered Chen Shang. "Don't you worry, although these guys look similar to human after having evolved from lightning beasts, they are still stupid, nonetheless." Hua Shangyu smacked out a palm. It appeared very light, as if it held no power. However, the power that broke out from it suddenly shook the mountains and moved the earth. Bolts of red lightning broke out from that red-armored giant, after having his chest attacked with that terrifying smack. The red-armored giant immediately became furious and roared like crazy. He kept on waving his palms arbitrarily, attacking Hua Shangyu in a brutish manner. Although those strikes were faster, they were disorganized. Hua Shangyu could easily dodge them with her agility. While at it, she could also lead him away from here. This way, she could also fight freely. The red-armored giant appeared to be extremely hot-tempered. He was very quickly angered by Hua Shangyu. He kept on waving his palms arbitrarily. Bolts of red lightning were shooting out of his mouth as he chased after Hua Shangyu, leaving this place. It took longer to describe, but all this happened in a very short time. Now, Chen Shang knew that these red-armored men were evolved from lightning beasts. They might stand on 2 feet, they might speak as well, but they sure were a bit stupid. All they knew was to attack randomly, relying only on their strength. Nonetheless, they were fairly powerful, particularly that red armor of theirs. Chen Shang had somehow landed an attack on him, but all it did was make that red-armored boy roar in anger, nothing more, nothing less. One must bear in mind that had it been a brilliant grade weapon, it would have been damaged for sure. This guy's armor can mitigate a lot of power. It's not very tough on its own, it's just that a very unique energy is attached to it, which dissipates most of your power when you attack lands on it. Any kind of weapon would be ineffective against him, explained Long Shuiyi. Upon hearing Long Shuiyi, Chen Shang put away the azure dragon slaughtering devil blade. This move of Chen Shang astounded that red-armored boy. He broke into laughter as he said, "The human weapons are useless against me, I didn't expect you to so perspective." While speaking, he showered those fists covered in red armor at Chen Shang. His punches were laden with violent lightning energy. As they rumbled towards Chen Shang, they also burst forth with lightning explosions. All Chen Shang could do was escape as far away from him as possible. If he stayed close to those punches, he would suffer successive explosions even if he avoided them. This guy thinks he is so clever. Chen Shang was having a good laugh in his heart. Although the red-armored boy's attacks were incredibly fierce, they lacked any kind of control whatsoever. Even if Chen Shang was far away, the red-armored boy kept on pounding at the ground like an idiot, thinking he could deter the enemy this way. While Chen Shang was dealing with the red-armored boy, he was also looking for an opportunity. At the same time, he was also trying to understand the attack pattern of the red-armored boy. If the red-armored boy was facing some lightning beasts who didn't have high wisdom, he would be extremely powerful for sure. However, Chen Shang was a human. He knew a great deal about martial techniques. These martial techniques could be used to restrain the enemy under all kind of different circumstances. Even if someone wasn't exceptionally powerful, in many circumstances, he or she could restrain someone who was stronger than him or her with these martial techniques. This guy should have bones too, right? Gathering the universe true chi over his palm, Chen Shang reached out at a terrific speed, grabbing that huge red palm that was hacking down just like a giant axe, holding on it ever so tightly. A thunderous crash immediately resounded across the sky. Just as Chen Shang grabbed the wrist of that red-armored boy, it cut off the energy surging out from the red-armored boy's arm. The red-armored boy was unable to release that violent energy, even an itsy-bitsy bit, which caused an explosion in his arm. The red-armored boy let out a furious wail. His arm had actually been blown away by his own energy. His pieces of armor were scattered on the ground, and the ground was dyed with his blood. "So, you weren't that intelligent at all," Chen Shang ridiculed as he took a step forward. Whereas that crazed red-armored boy let out a roar in anger as he punched towards Chen Shang. Chen Shang took that giant fist head-on with his palm. When Chen Zhang's palm clashed with that punch, the earth around them collapsed completely as a loud thunderclap echoed in the sea of mountains. Puff! Chen Shang spewed a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying from the aftershock. He could not help but admit that the violent energy released by that red-armored boy was extremely terrifying. It was an energy converted from the lightning energy. However, that palm strike of Chen Shang was also extraordinary. Just as Chen Shang crashed into the ground, he heard the terrified wail of the red-armored boy. The red-armored boy's arm was hanging down his shoulder because all the bones in his hand were gone. Transforming Bone Devil Palm, a palm that could melt the bones instantly. Just now, Chen Shang had used this very devil technique. He had also put his entire strength into it, melting those sturdy bones of red-armored boy completely. At this point, the red-armored had lost both of his arms. However, he could still spew red lightning bolts from his mouth. All his anger was poured on Chen Shang in the form of red lightning bolts. Wherever those lightning bolts landed on the ground, giant pits appeared one after another. Chen Shang could very easily dodge the attack of the red-armored boy now. Just in a few steps, Chen Shang was by that red-armored boy's side. Chen Shang struck his palms ever so quickly, hammering them on that sturdy armor of red-armored boy. The transforming Bone Devil Palm's energy was extremely unique. It could seep through those pieces of armor and into the body of that red-armored body, melting those sturdy bones inside. Just a couple strikes had caused grievous injury to that red-armored boy. At first, the red-armored boy could still stand, but now, he was lying on the ground, coughing up blood violently. HMPH, if you had stayed on the hilltop, maybe you won't be in this state now. The big guy is going to accompany you soon. Chen Shang burst into a cold laugh. Immediately, the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade appeared in Chen Shang. Chen Shang, infusing the blade with that terrifying dragon force, vigorously hacked down, shaking the ground slightly. A shrilling wail of red-armored boy immediately followed before that red-armored boy's head was separated from his body. After having eliminated the red-armored boy, Chen Shang wiped the sweat on his brow. But suddenly, a ball of red light emerged from the red-armored boy's neck. A pellet flushed out from that beheaded neck, along with a fountain of blood. This ball of red light slowly rose into the air. At a glance, Chen Shang could see that this pellet was the crystallized form of red lightning. It sure was good stuff. As Chen Shang reached out to grab it, he felt the red crystal ball slightly tremble before a tingling current broke out from it. This thing can strengthen my Azure Dragon True Chi. Chen Shang was extremely delighted. Meanwhile, there were quite a bit of movements stirring far away. Even a few mountains had disappeared. Apparently, the fight between Hua Shangyu and that red-armored giant was still not over yet. Chapter 451, Pure Bliss Amidst Peril. Hearing the furious howls coming from afar, Chen Shang knew Hua Shangyu had the upper hand. That red-armored giant had been forced to the point that he had gone angry. At this moment, Chen Shang didn't dare to move closer, lest he dragged Hua Shangyu. Soon after, the roars ceased to exist. After having waited for a short time, Chen Shang finally saw Hua Shangyu riding the air at a distance, flying towards him. Seeing Chen Shang was all right, Hua Shangyu heaved a sigh of relief. The same was true for Chen Shang as well, he too was relieved upon seeing her. This made the two broke into laughter. So, you are finally concerned about me. At least, you have a conscience. Hua Shangyu patted Chen Zhang's chest. Then, she took out a big red as blood bead and handed it to Chen Shang. Looking at the brilliant red aura emanating from this bead, Chen Shang immediately took it and said with a laugh, "After all, you are my dear sister, of course, I will be worried about you." "Thank you. This is Blood Lightning Pearl, you should have also obtained a small one just like this when you killed that little guy." Since you cultivate lightning, it should be able to improve your lightning energy, said Hua Shangyu, smiling charmingly. Afterward, she picked those pieces of red armor. Chen Shang said, what are you planning to do with these pieces of armor? Taking all those scattered pieces of armor away, Hua Shangyu said, these pieces of armor are pretty good, I can ask Munger to help me reforge them into some armor. Let's go. We caused quite a bit of commotion here, perhaps many powerful lightning beasts would be rushing here. If we encountered a bunch of them, it will be dangerous for us. Hua Shangyu, pulling Chen Zhang's arm, started running at breakneck speed. Only when they had reached far away from the earlier battlefield did she slow down. Along the way, Chen Shang came to notice that Hua Shangyu's complexion wasn't very good. Her face was extremely pale. There was a tightly knit frown on her brow as well as if she was enduring some pain. Suddenly, Hua Shangyu let out a tender cry as she fell down on the ground, grabbing her chest. Her face was incomparably pale, a grimace from pain evident on her face. Just a moment ago, Chen Shang had noticed that there was something wrong with Hua Shangyu. However, it never crossed his mind that her condition would be so serious that even with her strength, she fell down on the ground. What is it? Chen Shang asked, anxious. He was at a loss as to what to do. He didn't know what happened to Hua Shangyu. I have been poisoned. Hua Shangyu said, weak and powerless. A panicked Chen Shang very quickly calmed himself down. Acting all anxious would do Hua Shangyu no good. Seeing the panic-stricken Chen Shang a moment ago, Hua Shangyu felt warm in her heart. As Chen Shang pulled that slender arm on Hua Shangyu's chest, he came to notice strands of black qi emerging from her chest. Indeed, it was a kind of poison. More importantly, tiny arcs of lightning were also flashing amid the black qi. Why didn't you say anything? Chen Shang scolded in a low voice, glaring at Hua Shangyu. Then, he took out a small piece of hell spirit grass and put it in her mouth. After having taken the hell spirit grass, Hua Shangyu looked a lot better. However, it won't last for long. I have taken a detoxification dan, but it was useless. It was the best detoxification dan I can refine. Hua Shangyu was also very worried at this moment, for she felt poison spreading within her body. Of course, she didn't want to die. TLN. Previously, in quite earlier chapters, like near 40 or something, I have used dispelling poison dan, I have changed the name to detoxification dan. Hua Shangyu was a grand alchemist, who was second to none in Shenwu mainland. If the detoxification dan refined by her couldn't remove the poison, whatever Chen Shang did would all be useless for sure. This should be a kind of poison that can carry true qi with it. This kind of poison can pass through the true qi blockades inside someone's body. In other words, no matter how strong one's true qi is, he would be unable to block that poisonous true qi. Even if a couple of experts help you detoxify it together, they still won't be able to expel this kind of position. Explained by Yu Yu, her elder sister was a poison expert. Naturally, she had a good understanding of poisons. Upon hearing this, Chen Zhang's face lost all color. Whereas Hua Shangyu was looking at him with despair filling her eyes. Hua Shangyu were extremely clear about her situation. This poison was extremely terrifying. Don't worry, there is still a way to remove it. All you have to do is suck it out. You have suppressing devil golden body, you are invulnerable to all poisons. Said Su Meiyao. Listening to this, Chen Zhang's eyes immediately lit up. He hurriedly looked at Hua Shangyu's chest and then, reached out to her chest, tearing the garments over Hua Shangyu's upper body without further ado. At the sight of those jiggling beautiful white rabbits on Hua Shangyu's chest and those shaking cherries on two snowy peaks, Chen Shang could not help but took a deep breath. Hua Shangyu was shocked, she immediately let out a tender cry. She shouted, ashamed, little rascal, what are you doing? You bastard, you are actually taking advantage of me in this dangerous situation. I am trying to save you. Chen Shang took a glance at Hua Shangyu's wound. Just right at the center of those snow-white peaks was a deep ravine, where there was a blackish-red dot by the size of a thumb. Black qi and red bolts of lightning were emerging from it. Just as Hua Shangyu wanted to curse Chen Shang buried his head in between those marvelous snow-white peaks of her, sucking on her wound. Seeing this, she powerlessly blurted out, don't, you will die. Hua Shangyu began to feel the blood flowing out of her body at this moment. The poison in her body that was spreading at an astonishing speed, was being taken out bit by bit. She knew Chen Shang was sucking the poisoned blood in her body. At this moment, her heart was aching more than the pain caused by the poison, for she believed Chen Shang would die for sure. When she herself could not do anything against this poison, what could Chen Shang, who was far weaker than her, do? Despite the fact that her upper garments of Hua Shangyu had been ripped away by Chen Shang completely, and even his head was buried in her chest, Hua Shangyu didn't feel shy at all. On the contrary, all she felt was indescribable grief. She didn't want Chen Shang to die for her. At this moment, Chen Shang, on the other hand, was asking Long Shui to spread her divine sense into Hua Shangyu's body, so that he could clearly know where the poisonous true qi was located. At the same time, it would also let him see up to what extent the poison in her blood had spread. This way, he could accurately suck the poison in Hua Shangyu's body. In order to suck the poison quickly, Chen Shang was even swallowing Hua Shangyu's blood. Well, it was necessary, otherwise, he would have to suck a mouthful first then spit it out, and repeat this process again and again. But this would be far slower than the speed at which the poison was spreading. A vast quantity of Hua Shangyu's blood had been poisoned already. After Chen Shang sucked away the poisoned blood, Hua Shangyu's body was replenishing the blood at an astonishing speed. After all, she was a Nirvana realm expert. Her rate of recovery was extremely fast. Therefore, Chen Shang had no qualms about sucking her blood away completely. What took Chen Shang aback was Hua Shangyu's blood was extremely powerful. When all was said and done, it was the blood of a Nirvana realm martial artist. After having sucked the blood into his body, his blood fused with it, strengthening his flesh and blood in the due process. At first, Hua Shangyu was extremely worried. However, seeing Chen Shang keep on going for so long, without any kind of repercussion, she heaved a sigh of relief before immediately letting out a tender harumph. Now that she wasn't so worried, she finally felt embarrassed, for her upper body had been laid completely bare by Chen Shang. Those marvelous and shapely peaks of her had been seen by Chen Shang completely. Furthermore, Chen Zhang's face was being sandwiched between the two. Of course, Chen Shang could feel his cheeks sandwiched by those soft and smooth peaks. He was quite enjoying it. Ah, little rascal, keep your hands off. Hua Shangyu let out a tender shout suddenly, for Chen Zhang's hand was pressing on one of her snow-white peaks, kneading it. You are doing it intentionally. Hua Shangyu's face turned very red. However, she couldn't do anything whatsoever. All she could do was scold this little rascal. After all, Chen Shang was risking his life to suck the poison out of her body, in her opinion. Chen Shang was only kneading it lightly, which already made his blood to boil. However, he still had a bit of conscience. After savoring it a bit, he stopped. If continued, he was afraid Hua Shangyu would ignore him later. After all, it was an act of violating her body. Chapter 452, Sacred Ancient Land. The things which Hua Shangyu was worried about didn't happen. Chen Shang groped her ravishing peak a bit and stopped afterward, which gave her a little sense of disappointment. She never expected that Chen Shang would actually forbear such a powerful temptation. After 4 hours, Chen Shang lifted his head finally and wiped the blood off his mouth. At the same time, he fixed his gaze at those towering snow-white rabbits of hers. His eyes burning with raging flames, wishing to be burned away by Hua Shangyu. Hua Shangyu let out a cutesy harumph as she turned around hastily. She took out a long piece of cloth at once and wrapped it around her chest, and then put on a set of tights. Are you still not satisfied? Turning around once again, Hua Shangyu stared at Chen Shang grudgingly. Nope, Chen Shang replied honestly. There was a perverted smile on his face. HMPH. Hua Shangyu gave a light snort before asking gently, you have sucked so much of my poisoned blood, are you really all right? Seeing those glittering beautiful eyes of Hua Shangyu, full of concern, Chen Shang broke into a laugh and assured, I am invulnerable to all poisons, I am completely all right, don't worry. Recalling that shameful act from just a moment ago, Hua Shangyu spat on the ground. Damn you, little rascal, you took so much advantage of me. How about I let you take recompensation, said Chen Shang, laughing. He started to undress. What can you even compensate me with? Hua Shangyu tightly pinched Chen Zhang's waist. She pinched so tightly that Chen Shang screamed in pain. At present, Hua Shangyu had already recovered her strength. Having pinched Chen Zhang's waist for a bit, Hua Shangyu's anger had finally vented off her anger. She then continued pulling Chen Shang, shuttling through the dangerous blood lightning mountain sea. Shangyu, yours are definitely bigger than Sister Menger's. Chen Shang said all of a sudden. The scenes from just a moment ago were deeply etched into his mind already. Especially the feeling of having his cheeks sandwiched by those two towering and shapely peaks. He had not played so much even with Shui Shenxian's. All Shui Shenxian let him do was grope them a bit, that's all. Of course, Hua Xiangyu's were bigger than Shui Shenxian's. The sensation of touching them was simply exquisite, he praised them again and again. Little rascal, you aren't allowed to speak of this anymore. And, you can't tell about it to anyone, especially your sister Munger, you absolutely can't tell her, said Hua Xiangyu in a sweet voice. Chen Shang laughed and said, what? Didn't you show them to me back then yourself? Although at that time, you were wearing a translucent dress, I still remember it. Not to mention, I was just sucking your poisoned blood, I wasn't sucking them, anyhow. Hearing this, Hua Xiangyu's face turned red at once. She gripped Chen Zhang's wrist ever more tightly, so tightly that Chen Shang gave out screams as if he was a pig that was on its way to the slaughterhouse. Ah, the poison in my body is flaring up. Screaming this suddenly, Chen Shang intentionally fell down on the ground, giving a fright to Hua Xiangyu. Her face turned pale at once as she anxiously held Chen Shang in her arms. She was completely terrified. Little rascal, what happened to you? You are scaring me. Hua Xiangyu's current appearance was just like Chen Zhang's from a moment ago. At the sight of this, Chen Shang was delighted in his heart. Help me suck the poison, begged Chen Shang painfully. Where should I suck? Asked Hua Xiangyu, anxious. At present, she didn't fear death, as long as Chen Shang was alive, everything was fine for her. Chen Shang, pointing at his mouth, said, here. Only when she noticed the strange gleam in Chen Zhang's eyes did she reacted. Clasping Chen Zhang's wrist, she inspected the condition of Chen Zhang's body just to be sure. As expected, she didn't find any poison at all. Furthermore, Chen Zhang's condition could not be any better. Little rascal, you, HMPH. Hua Xiangyu pinched Chen Zhang's waist at once. Then, she threw Chen Shang back on the ground. Hearing those screams of Chen Shang filled with emotions, she was sure Chen Shang was playing her. Furthermore, he still wanted to cheat her into kissing him. Rubbing the place where he was pinched, Chen Shang mischievous laughed and appeased Hua Xiangyu. Sister Xiangyu, don't be angry, I was joking with you. Joking my head, how can you do this to me? I was very worried about you. Hua Xiangyu stamped her foot on the ground. Little rascal, you are really bad. Chen Shang grinned stupidly. Of course, I know that. I too am very concerned about you, I am sorry. Don't play any more tricks, let's hurry up. Hua Xiangyu, after wiping the dust on Chen Zhang's face, continued pulling Chen Shang. Sister Xiangyu, why do you want to be my maid? I never understood this point, apart from joking, why would a woman of your stature want to do this? Asked Chen Shang. He had asked these questions a few times, but every time, Hua Xiangyu brushed him off with perfunctory answers. I will not tell you this for now. Do you want to take me as you maid now? Hua Xiangyu asked, laughing. Are you going to agree? Chen Shang had already planned everything. He was just waiting until he had prepared gifts for her. Hua Xiangyu mischievously smiled, don't worry, my proposal will remain effective perpetually. Chen Shang got immediately excited. After you become my maid, will you listen to my every command, like? Sensing the powerful fluctuations coming from those slender arms of Hua Xiangyu, Chen Shang didn't continue anymore. Of course, I will listen to you, but only if you are stronger than me. Currently, you can't eat me. Hua Xiangyu's face flushed red as she unconsciously recalled those previous acts. Chen Shang said, just wait for some time, I will take you as my maid soon, let me do some preparations. What preparations? I can become your maid right now. Hua Xiangyu asked, extremely curious. I am not telling you for the moment. A mysterious smile appeared on Chen Zhang's lips. In order to take such a stunner, he must prepare some decent gifts. After all, Chen Shang was someone who was very keen on face saving. This blood lightning mountain sea was extremely dangerous for sure. If an extreme state expert went in alone, it would be quite difficult for him to even come out. Had it not for Chen Shang, even Hua Xiangyu might have died from poison. There were far too many species of lightning beasts in here. The very first lightning beasts they encountered that had evolved to the point that they resembled humans were extremely strong. Not only could they utilize the dreadful power of red lightning bolts, they also possessed a kind of strange poison. When Chen Shang was fighting with the red armored boy, he had been attacked with poisonous lightning attack a few times, but as he was invulnerable to poison, he didn't feel anything. On their way, Hua Xiangyu and Chen Shang were exceptionally cautious. Yet they had encountered many lightning beasts, sometimes in groups as well. They were extremely powerful. In order to avoid any mishap from happening, all they could do was evade them, again and again, trying not to cause any conflict with these lightning beasts. After 10 days of shuttling through the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea, Hua Xiongyu and Chen Shang finally arrived at the region surrounded by the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea. This place was very rich in spirit qi. Furthermore, many ancient towering trees were also growing here. Any one of those trees would require over 100 men to hug its trunk together. This kind of trees contributed most to the entire forest. Moreover, there were many strange flower and grass also growing here. This is called sacred ancient land. I heard that many Nirvana realm martial artists had come here, but apart from these ancient trees and beasts, they didn't find any legendary sacred land. Said Hua Xiongyu. Currently, she and Chen Shang were resting atop a towering tree. Chapter 453, Ruins. Chen Shang asked Long Shui to look around and see if there was someplace that was different from the others. So Sister Xiongyu, you have also come here before, right? Didn't you find anything? Asked Chen Shang. I came here looking for herbs, so, of course, I found many of them. However, these trees and those strange flowers and grasses are mostly found here. I didn't find any herb garden, whatsoever. Furthermore, there aren't any mountains here, so all I could do was circle a few times here and there, answered Hua Xiongyu. Chen Shang thought that this place wasn't that simple. For this place to get a name like Sacred Ancient Land, it sure would have something special about it. He could not help but associate it with Wu Kanghong. Wu Kanghong was the human king. If this place was truly the Sacred Ancient Land, it was quite possible for Wu Kanghong's clan to originate for this place. However, Wu Kanghong himself gave Chen Shang this map. He must have seen the map, but why didn't he say anything to Chen Shang at all? Be that as it may, Chen Shang still believed this place could quite possibly be the birthplace of human king family. Calling it Sacred Ancient Land won't be wrong at all then. The trees in here are quite big, one can simply live on these trees. Chen Shang looked about for the trees that were far apart. The canopies of these towering trees were simply too big and dense. They were blocking the sunlight completely. The ground was completely dark and dim. Nonetheless, the air was very fresh here. That's what I am saying. There aren't any good stuff here, even the herbs are fewer. Last time I visited this place, I was very disappointed, said Hua Xiongyu. As an alchemist, searching of the spirit herbs was a very distressing matter. Sometimes, an alchemist would spend many years searching for just one herb, but even then, he won't find it. Therefore, alchemists like Hua Xiongyu had traveled to many places. Chen Shang broke into a laugh and said, perhaps, you, Nirvana realm martial artists were too stupid to found that herb garden. Currently, Hua Xiongyu had taken up a skeptical attitude. Had it not been for the danger here, she would not have accompanied Chen Shang. Those lightning beasts don't seem to come in here. Hua Xiongyu nodded her affirmation and said, they can't venture too far away from the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea. If they have taken the baptism of lightning even for one day, they won't be able to survive. Therefore, if you are targeted by those guys, as long as you come here, you will be safe. Chen Shang was even more doubtful. He felt that the birth of those lightning beasts in the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea was certainly not accidental. In that case, those lightning beasts are protecting the Sacred Ancient Land. Maybe a clan or something is hiding here. Hua Xiongyu, shaking her head, said, I have spent 2 years here. Apart from these towering trees and those strange flowers and grasses, I didn't see anything whatsoever. After resting for a while, Chen Shang stretched his tired body. Suddenly, he discovered that his body had strengthened a lot. Xiongyu, your blood was really sure, it actually strengthened my body so much. I feel that I can enter the 14th level of Immortal and Devil body very soon. What? Hua Xiongyu let out a cutesy cry and said, you are in the 14th level of the Immortal and Devil body. Chen Shang smiled in satisfaction and said, impressive, right? Hua Xiongyu suddenly recalled the time when Chen Shang was helping her sucking the poisoned blood. Her face turned red immediately. She felt warm in her heart, but she was also feeling a bit ashamed. At that time, that really was an extremely embarrassing situation for her. Let's go. After we have found that herb garden, Sister Xiongyu, you can return first. I will stay here for some time, said Chen Shang. He wanted to see what kind of secret this place was hiding. In any case, he also needed some time to plan the herbs for refining Resurrection Dan as well as the Fruit of Fortune. Hua Xiongyu immediately refused. Not possible, you have to return with me. It will be too dangerous for you to stay here. At that time, how will I explain it to Munger? Chen Shang could only agree. All right, Since he had come here once, it would be quite easy for him to come here later again, for he had the Luotian door. As long as he recorded the coordinates of this place, he could directly enter here by shuttling through space. While he was thinking over this point, he suddenly wondered whether there were some coordinates of this place marked on the Luotian door, for Luotian door was given to him by the human king, Wu Kanghong. By now, Chen Shang had already come to trust Hua Shangyu. Naturally, he didn't have to worry about the revelation of Luotian door's secret. Thence, he took it out immediately. Noticing Chen Tiong taking out a small stone disc, which also had some spirit patterns as well as ancient characters on it, Hua Shangyu's curiosity was piqued. "What's this?" asked Hua Shangyu. "A good thing. Had I known that the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea would be so dangerous, I would not have asked you to take risks with me. Hey, but had it been not so, perhaps, I would not have been able to take advantage of you," said Chen Shang, a perverted smile on his face. These days, his mind had been preoccupied with that attractive and shapely body of Hua Shangyu as well as that marvelous feeling of touching her. "Little rascal, don't you dare talk about that again." Hua Shangyu gave a tender snort as she punched on Chen Zhang's chest, but she didn't use any strength. Chen Shang cracked a smile as he began to pour his divine sense into the Luotian door. What took him by surprise was that he really found the coordinate of a place just inside the sacred ancient land. He could not help but scold himself for being so stupid. Wu Kanghong was originally a resident of King's Mainland, most of the coordinates recorded should be of King's Mainland, he should have thought of using this Luotian door from the start. At this time, Chen Shang took a look at the recorded coordinates of the King's Mainland. Sure enough, there were many places recorded all across the entire King's Mainland. He felt that it was necessary for him to get a complete map of King's Mainland to see what places are recorded by Wu Kanghong. Maybe he would find some good thing. At this moment, the rings of that rock disc in Chen Zhang's hand started to rotate automatically as his true qi was drawn by it suddenly. Immediately, a beam of light shot out from the center of the disc towards the front, before a gate was formed. At the sight of this, Hua Shangyu was flabbergasted, for she could sense the power of space from it. To her surprise, Chen Shang had opened a space door. This is magical equipment?" Hua Shangyu asked, surprised. "A senior gifted this to me, impressive, right? Let's go." Chen Shang, pulling Hua Shangyu, stepped into that Luotian door. In Hua Shangyu's cognition, only some martial artists could open a space door, and that too by using some impressive martial technique and expending almost all of their strength. Even Hua Shangyu could do this, but she could not traverse a large distance, just a bit. Furthermore, it would deplete a large amount of her true qi. After having entered Luotian door, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu arrived at a heap of ruins, which astounded Hua Shangyu extremely. We are still in sacred ancient land." Hua Shangyu, gazing at those dilapidated stone buildings, many of which had collapsed. From the looks of it, they seemed to have been destroyed due to an intense battle. These buildings were very tall. Just a brick was the size of a house. It was quite clear that the people who used to live here were very powerful. They were the first royal family of the human clan. Looking about, Chen Shang spotted some humongous trees in a distance. Evidently, they were still in sacred ancient land. Furthermore, at the edge of this ruin, he also noticed many spirit patterns on the ground. Some of these spirit patterns were still exuding a weak energy. These ruins have been protected by an array, that must be why no outsiders have been able to discover them, said Chen Shang. Chapter 454, Dragon. Looking about the ruins, Hua Shangyu knit her brow tightly. She pulled Chen Zhang's closer, for she felt that this place was filled with a terrifying aura. "Where in hell are we?" Hua Shangyu looked to Chen Shang. "This should be where the most ancient tribe, the human king family used to live. The entire sacred ancient land may very likely be the birthplace of them." Chen Shang could also feel an appalling aura in here. The reason Hua Shangyu never found this place when she came here last time was because this place was hidden by an array. What's more was that this place was in ruin, yet it had been hidden by a strong array for as long as 100,000 years. One could surely reckon that some very impressive thing was here. After having a bad premonition, Chen Shang immediately activated the Luotian door and opened a gate. "Hurry up!" Pulling up Hua Shangyu, Chen Shang hurriedly entered that door. At the same time, they heard an ear-deafening roar coming from behind as they were assailed with a horrifying aura, raising the hair all over their body. "A dragon!" Long Shui exclaimed. "However, from its aura, that dragon doesn't belong to my imperial dragon family, maybe it's a low-rank dragon who had evolved from a flood dragon." However, it should still be one of most terrifying existence for the mortal world. Much to Chen Zhang's surprise, it turned out to be a dragon. Hearing this, he was immediately filled with an inexplicable excitement, for he was cultivating the Dragon Slayer's divine martial techniques, which were specially created to slay a dragon. He very much wanted to try these Dragon Slayer's techniques. However, he couldn't for now, as that dragon was very strong, so strong that it scared Hua Shangyu to the point that her face had gone pale. I truly didn't expect that there would be a dragon in the mortal world. Fortunately, you, this little rascal, were smart enough to retreat. Hua Shangyu was still in a state of shock. She was panting for breath. She was a powerful expert in the mortal world, yet facing a horrifying beast like a dragon, she was feeling powerless. Now, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu came to know that the Blood Lightning Mountain Sea was created artificially by someone, all in order to make sure that no one would enter this place. If some powerful array grandmaster entered this place, they just might find the array that was imprisoning that dragon, and maybe, due to their curiosity, they might open the array. At that time, it would be a disaster for the mortal martial world. It seems that the human king family had imprisoned that dragon. That family sure is very powerful, Hua Shangyu marveled as a sigh leaked from her mouth. Of course, what astounded her the most was the fact that the disc in Chen Zhang's hand could open a space door. That senior did not allow me to divulge anything about me, so, I can't tell you anything, maybe in the future, stated Chen Shang, helpless. Don't sweat it, I am not going to force you to tell me. Can we also leave with this thing? Hua Shangyu asked. But of course, I can return to the Chenwu mainland with this. If I am strong enough, I can go even cross this world, answered Chen Shang. He very much wanted to check other worlds out. Hearing that he could travel to the other worlds, even Hua Shangyu was excited. Traveling to the other world wasn't that simple. Only some powerful array grandmaster could travel to the other world through a huge teleportation array. Also, if one found a rift in space and could resist the wear and tear inside it, one could traverse to another world. But this way, it would be very difficult to return to the original world. Vast as the mortal martial world was, as far as those tycoons who had lived for tens of thousands of years, it was very small. Take Hua Shangyu for instance, she had traveled to many mainlands to find herbs over the years. Is that herb garden also inside an array? Asked Hua Shangyu, otherwise, such a huge herb garden in here would have been found by her for sure. Chen Shang, shaking his head, said, it should be. However, the herb garden is under the ground. When we came in, I am afraid no one would have expected for the good stuff to be under the ground. Hua Shangyu gave out a light snort as she said, who would have expected, huh? Very soon, Chen Shang found a tree with some symbol following the map. Though many years had come and gone, the symbol was still there. Spotting a small, Li character on the thick trunk, Hua Shangyu knew that the entrance of that herb garden was inside this tree. This forest was so huge, furthermore, these kind of trees were countless in numbers. Who would notice a character that was just the size of a finger? Li Tianjin was not just a Dan King, he was very impressive when it comes to array and refining equipment as well. If he wanted to make this kind of stuff, it would be a piece of cake for him. Chen Shang had a refining weapon scroll. Since he had gotten the memories of 4 array grandmasters, he had come to realize how impressive those complex spirit patterns inside it are and why Lu Menjie was so fascinated by them. All in all, those spirit patterns were terrific and very esoteric. Chen Shang, with his finger, pushed the Li character, and it was pushed in very easily. Without the map or the instruction, no one would know that there was a mechanism in here. Just as the finger was pushed in, a glowing white door appeared on the trunk of that tree. Seeing this, Hua Shangyu was excited. She reckoned that the herb garden had many rare and precious herbs. Let's go in. Chen Shang, pulling Hua Shangyu's hands, went in. As soon as they stepped into the door, the gate closed and immediately disappeared. And when they got inside, Chen Zhang's and Hua Shangyu's eyes were dazzled with bright light as they caught sight of a spiral staircase heading down. The staircase led very deep under the ground. At the end of the staircase, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu saw a stone door. When they opened the door, a very long passage was presented before them. And the rocks on either side of passage lit up with white light automatically. What a great place! Chen Shang took a deep breath, for the spirit chi here was extremely rich. I think that the soil of the herb garden had already transformed into spirit soil. This soil is best for planting spirit herbs, stated Hua Shangyu. At this moment, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu were extremely excited. Both of them were alchemists. Those rare and precious herbs were extremely tempting to them. After all, those were the herbs left behind by a Dan King, they sure weren't going to be ordinary. Moreover, Dan King Li Tianjin had entered the first mysterious realm once, which had countless precious herbs. He must have had obtained a lot of them. As Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu arrived at the end, an iron gate with a keyhole entered their sight. Seeing this, just as Hua Shangyu wanted to blast the door open with her palm, Chen Shang hurriedly stopped her as he said, smiling, I have the key here. The key was universal, it could open all the doors of herb gardens left behind by Li Tianjin. Once Chen Shang pushed in the key and gave it a twist, the iron gate opened on its own. Chen Zhang's and Hua Shangyu's nerves stretched thin. They held their breath as they watched the iron gate open slowly. But as soon as the dense spirit chi blew on their faces, they became extremely excited, especially when the rich fragrance of spirit grass and flowers assailed their noses. Once the gate opened, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu could see the beautiful herb garden clearly. There were many flowers and trees inside. Just with one glance, they recognized some extremely rare spirit herbs. But just as they went in, they saw an elder looking at them with a jovial smile on his face. Much to their shock and horror, someone was actually inside. Chapter 455, Dan King's Apprentice. Apparently, the old man appeared to have already foreseen Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu's arrival. Therefore, he wasn't taken by surprise a bit. Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu, on the other hand, could not comprehend as to why there was someone here, in this enclosed space for many years. At first, Hua Shangyu thought that this old man was the Dan King Li Tianjin. However, Chen Shang knew the Li Tianjin had already gone to the heavenly realm. Even Wu Kanghong knew him. Who are you? Asked Chen Shang, vigilance clearly written on his face. He and Hua Shangyu just couldn't see through this old man's strength. The elderly was wearing an old and worn dress. Nonetheless, he was dressed very neatly. Also, there was an amiable smile on his face as he replied, I am someone who has been waiting for you. Only at this time did Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu came to notice that the place which was full of spirit herbs was protected by an array, and a very powerful one at that. Deep as the herb garden under the earth was, this place was just like a mysterious realm, one could see the blue sky. Why have you been waiting for us here? Asked Chen Shang, once more. Since the time this herb garden was built, I have been waiting for you. Right, this herb garden was built by my teacher. I have been looking after it for a very long time, I have already forgotten as to how many years had passed, said the old man, a smile still on his face. Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu were shocked, once more. To their surprise, this old man was Dan King Li Tianjin's apprentice. No need to worry, you can get these herbs, however, you have to pass the test. The old man stated. Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu glanced at each other momentarily before Chen Shang asked, what test? Noticing that Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu were tightly holding each other's hand, the old man asked doubtfully, are you husband and wife? Or brother and sisters? The gap between your strength is too big. Only if the man is stronger than the woman, it's justifiable. Chen Shang cracked a smile and said, that's right, we are husband and wife. Hey, kid, don't lie to me. Although I may not have exited this place for many years, the outside world should not have gone through such tremendous changes. That old man shook his head, smiling. Hua Shangyu rolled her eyes at Chen Shang as she let go of Chen Zhang's hand and said, he and I are just friends. What's the test exactly? If it's dangerous, we won't do it. It's not dangerous, all you have to do is compete with me in alchemy. You can use the spirit herbs in this herb garden for the competition. Furthermore, you have to refine the Dan which I tell you to. Only when you have passed my test will you have the qualifications to have this herb garden. This isn't too much, right? The old man said, looking at Hua Shangyu. He was secretly astounded by the fire energy emanating from Hua Shangyu's body. He could see that Hua Shangyu was a very powerful flame expert. Furthermore, she was extremely powerful. Evidently, she was a high-level alchemist. As for Chen Shang, he was completely disregarded by the elder. This put Chen Shang ill at ease. No problem. However, your rules can't be too harsh, you can't ask me to refine an immortal Dan, okay? Said Hua Shangyu. The elderly nodded his acknowledgement and asked, what the highest level of Dan you can refine? Middle grade heaven level Dan. Hua Shangyu said, dismissively. But this shocked the hell out of Chen Shang and that elderly. From the beginning, Chen Shang believed that Hua Shangyu's limit should be a low-grade heaven-level Dan, Because the one who could refine a middle-grade heaven-level Dan was a Dan ancestor. Just one level above the Dan ancestor was Dan King, and that was the limit of the mortal world alchemists. Although there was only a gap of one level between Dan King and Dan ancestor, it was rarely used in the mortal world. Even if one could refine high-grade heaven-level Dan, one would still be referred to as Dan ancestor. More importantly, Hua Shangyu was a female, a young, beautiful, and very powerful female. She had very bright prospects. Very good, I will lay down the rules to you, and then, I will compete with you. At this moment, the old man was extremely excited. Back then, his teacher had asked him to remain here and he had given his promise. However, having been stayed here alone for many years, he was bored to death. It was rare for someone to come here. The old man had been delving in alchemy all day. And now that he had met a strong opponent, of course, he would want to test himself against Hua Shangyu. Senior, are you Dan King Li Tianjin's apprentice? Can I please have your good name? Asked Chen Shang. He also wanted to compete with this old man. It was impossible for him to play with high-level Dan, but if it was a profound-level Dan, he was very confident. After all, he was labeled as the top youngest alchemist of the mortal martial world. The old man nodded as he answered, I was adopted by my teacher, so, I have my teacher's surname. My name is Li Baojun, what about yours? Chen Shang, Hua Shangyu. Li Baojun continued, don't worry, I won't ask you to compete with me in refining heaven-level Dan. Refining that kind of Dan depends a lot on luck. Furthermore, we can't see your level using that kind of competition. What's more, it needs a lot of time and wastes far too many herbs. Senior Li, I don't want to say this but that map was found by me. I think both of us should be tested. I have also learned alchemy for 10 years, stated Chen Shang. Li Baojun simply had not expected Chen Shang, this little rascal, to compete in alchemy. He could see that Chen Shang was very young, and very weak as well. According to his estimation, Chen Shang should be 30 to 40 years old, and definitely nowhere good in alchemy. Hua Shangyu had discovered that Li Baojun was underestimating Chen Shang and was also secretly dissatisfied with him. She very much admired Chen Zhang's alchemy. If it was a competition of refining low-level Dan, she would candidly admit defeat. Indeed, it was him who brought me with him. If we got this herb garden, whether he shares with me or not completely depends on his mood. Hua Shangyu said, a smile on her lips. Li Baojun furrowed his white brows. He felt that this world has changed too much. To his surprise, an ant-like kid could order a woman who was extremely good, strength-wise and alchemy-wise, both. Furthermore, this woman was still as beautiful as a flower, as heavenly as a fairy. He could not help but think that there was something wrong with Hua Shangyu's head. Nonetheless, Li Baojun was a principled man. The herb garden had to be handed out. But only those who could pass the test would have the qualifications to have this herb garden. Very well, I am a bit reluctant but I will allow you two to compete with me, I alone will compete with you two. If you can't defeat me, you don't deserve to have this herb garden. Said Li Baojun. There were many spirit herbs in the herb garden. The highest ranked were high-grade earth-level herbs, and the lowest level of herbs were still for refining true elemental Dan, white jade Dan, and other similar Dans. Furthermore, there were also herbs for refining building foundation Dan, 5 elements true elemental Dan, life elemental Dan, and many other low-grade profound-level Dans. There were also some herbs for middle-grade and high-grade profound-level Dans, but not much. Don't worry, the competition will be very fair. If you won 2 out of 3 games, then, victory will be yours. The side which won 2 rounds first would be the winner. Kid, what is the highest level of Dan you can refine? Li Baojun asked. Chen Shang replied, low-grade profound level. Li Baojun was stupefied. From the beginning, he believed that what Chen Shang could refine at most was high-grade spirit level Dan. But he didn't expect him to enter this level at his age. Of course, it was not that such people didn't exist, it was just that they were very rare. In this huge mortal martial world, there weren't many people who could refine low-grade profound-level Dan at Chen Zhang's age. Wait, I just thought of a better way to compete. It will guarantee the fairness, and at the same time, it will allow us to display our alchemy level. Stated Li Baojun. Chapter 456, Young versus Old. There was an arbor inside the herb garden. Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu were sitting here. They were drinking a sweet and fragrant tea as they wait for Li Baojun to come up with the method for competing. Chen Shang was caressing Hua Shangyu's straight and long hair, yet Hua Shangyu didn't object. She only used her charming eyes to look at him. In her eyes, Chen Shang was like a kid, but sometimes, he was very manly as well. Little rascal, after I return, I will be going into a closed-door training for some time. If you are troubled with something in the future, you should go and look for Munger," said Hua Shangyu. As Chen Shang wanted to give Hua Shangyu a few sets of resurrection Dan herbs and a fruit of fortune, he asked, "How long are you going to train in seclusion? What should I do if I come across a serious matter and wanted to look for you?" "Go straight to Danxiang Taoyuan and look for me in the restricted area directly. Only those who have my permission can enter it." Hua Shangyu took out a white pearl and handed it to Chen Shang. "When you reach there, take this pearl out and you will be able to enter safely. Also, after coming in, please don't yell, I will know when someone comes in immediately," Hua Shangyu continued. Chen Shang nodded as he took that pearl and started playing with it. "Senior Li, as the protector of this herb garden, you must have gotten many spirit herbs, right?" Chen Shang shouted towards a nearby pond, where Li Baojun was sitting, ruminating. Li Baojun answered, "Of course, I am familiar with many herbs. But I can only pick herbs after I have planted them first. However, most of these are low-level spirit herbs. Kid, stop bothering me. Just adjust your state while you still have the time." Chen Shang pursed his lips and continued to play with Hua Shangyu's silky black hair, for there was a sweet aroma coming from them. "Sister Shangyu, why do you smell so nice? Is it natural?" Chen Shang broke into laughter and continued, "Your blood also smelled very sweet." Hua Shangyu gave a twist to Chen Zhang's arm. "Don't mention that matter again." Recalling the shameful scene of Chen Shang lying on her chest, sucking her blood, her cheeks turned charming red as she looked at the mischievously smiling Chen Shang. "You truly smell so good, if I sleep while hugging you, I will get a sound sleep for good." While Chen Shang was making blind and disorderly conjectures, he got a knock on his head by Hua Shangyu, once again. Li Baojun didn't look over. However, with both of them flirting around him, he was simply unable to calm himself down. What he found it incomprehensible was as to why a beautiful and charming girl like Hua Shangyu was with a little rascal like Chen Shang. "Quiet down a bit, will you?" said Li Baojun, thinking of just one method for so long, how boring. Chen Shang blurted out in a low voice. And this made Li Baojun feel disgusted by Chen Shang secretly. He decided that he would not show mercy and teach Chen Shang, this little rascal, a ruthless lesson. When Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu had waited for 2 or some hours, Li Baojun shouted aloud, "I have finished thinking, come here." When Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu had come over, Li Baojun continued, "Brat, since all you could refine is low-grade profound-level dans, I had to use every cell of my brain. I have only come up with 2 methods. If after these 2 rounds, there is still a need for the 3rd round, I will think of something again." Chen Shang said in contempt, "After thinking for so long, you can only come up with 2 games. It's best 2 out of 3 games. If I won 2 games in a row, then, I will win. I won't have to come up with the 3rd game," said Li Baojun. "You are really good." Chen Shang was rendered speechless. Li Baojun continued, "The concept of the game is not complicated, it's very simple. The first round consists of refining a low-grade profound-level Dan. We will see whose speed of refining and grade of Dan refined is better. This will show us the alchemy level of an alchemist for a Dan. We will compete in refining the 5 elements true elemental Dan. I have a lot of its herbs here. Furthermore, it is comparatively difficult to refine Dan among the low-grade profound-level Dans. However, this is disadvantageous to you because I am a high-level alchemist. Therefore, it would be better for this girl to compete with me. Anyway, it's for you to decide." Li Baojun believed that competing with Chen Shang would be an utmost insult to him. Noticing the disdainful look in Li Baojun's eyes, Chen Shang secretly swore that he would definitely beat this old man, who doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth goes, to the ground. "I have 40 set of 5-element true elemental Dan's herbs here, all of which will be placed here. The first round will continue until all the herbs are completely refined. We will use the 40 set of herbs at the same time. That is to say, if you are slower than me, then, you will definitely get fewer herbs than me. In other words, if I am faster than you, I can refine 30 sets, 35 sets, explained Li Baojun. Upon hearing this, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu were secretly laughing in their heart. As soon as they heard the rules of the first round, they knew their victory was set in stone. At the same time, they also came to despise Li Baojun. If it had been a competition between alchemists of the same level, it sure would have been extremely fair. However, when it was a competition between a high-level alchemist and a low-level alchemist, the high-level alchemist had a huge advantage, for he was faster, and as such, he would be able to refine far more than the low-level alchemist. Of course, Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu understood very clearly that Li Baojun was doing this so that he could compete with Hua Shangyu. "Do you any problem with this?" asked Li Baojun. "Not at all," Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu answered at the same time. If they had a problem, it would be even stranger. Had it been other low-level alchemist, he would lose for sure. However, Chen Shang was different, even Hua Shangyu believed that she herself wasn't Chen Zhang's match. "What about the second round?" asked Hua Shangyu. "In the second round, we will refine 3 common low-grade profound-level dans. And we will judge from a comprehensive perspective, for instance, the grade of dans, the speed of refining, the number of dans refined. We, alchemists, can judge these points ourselves. At that time, we ourselves will know who is the winner and who is the loser," Li Baojun said. "Do you have any problem with this?" Chen Shang and Hua Shangyu shook their heads. In their heart, they were having a good laugh because Chen Shang had a fair good chance of winning the 2 rounds. "Old man, you lose," said Chen Shang in his heart. Li Baojun immediately took out the 40 sets of 5 elements true elemental dan herbs and placed them in a single basket. They were all placed randomly. If one wanted to take the herbs, he would have to pick them himself. More importantly, there were many herbs of poor quality as well. "Now, we will pick a set from them, and then, begin refining at the same time. So, have you decided who is going to compete with me?" Li Baojun asked. "I will," said Chen Shang. Hearing this, Li Baojun's brow was lined with deep frowns. He looked at Hua Shangyu, only to see no objection coming from Hua Shangyu, none at all. "Sigh, it isn't good for the younglings to be too competitive." Li Baojun shook his head as he said, disappointed. Chen Shang very much wanted to say, "It isn't good for the oldies to despise everyone." Very soon, Li Baojun and Chen Shang began to pick herbs from the basket. First, they, both were picking all the good herbs. If they could refine faster, they could choose the better ones, leaving the bad herbs for the slower one. After having picked their herbs, both of them began checking the alchemical furnace of the other. "We can start now, kid, you better give your best," Li Baojun said, smiling disdainfully. He looked down on Chen Shang very much. Nonetheless, Chen Shang didn't take it seriously and began organizing the herbs. Chapter 457, A Shocking Difference. Hua Shangyu was very confident about Chen Shang. She had watched Chen Shang in many alchemy competitions, and every time he would achieve the best result. What Hua Shangyu was more curious about was that alchemical furnace of Chen Zhang's that looked as if it was carved out of ruby. She used to believe that reason that Chen Zhang's alchemy skills were so brilliant was due to that alchemical furnace. But after she saw Chen Shang refine dans in the air, she no longer believed as such. However, she still felt that there was something about that alchemical furnace. When processing the herbs, Chen Shang and Li Baojun's speed was almost the same. Just this point extremely surprised Li Baojun. Nonetheless, he still didn't believe that Chen Shang could defeat him. Having placed their herbs in their respective furnaces at the same time, Chen Shang and Li Baojun seriously started refining dans. And in the next moment, Chen Shang activated the time array inside the brilliant flame dragon furnace, accelerating the flow of time inside. In this way, the flow of time inside the brilliant flame dragon furnace was different than the flow of time outside. The difference of flow of time between inside and outside was 10:1. Even without the brilliant flame dragon furnace, if Chen Shang had just used the illusionary brilliant furnace, his speed of refining would still be far from the normal by just relying on the heavenly sun fire as well as his alchemy talent. Right now, his divine sense inside the alchemical furnace felt as if a long time had passed, but outside, just a very short time had elapsed. In the next moment, Chen Shang opened the lid of the alchemical furnace and took out 10 pieces of 5 elements true elemental dans. At the sight of this, Li Baojun's pair of old eyes were almost about to fall out, for both of them had started not too long ago, and in the meantime, Chen Shang had already refined a set of dans, just in this short period of time. This kind of speed was unbelievable. Hua Shangyu too was horrified by that kind of heaven-defying speed. Bang! A muffled bang rang out from Li Baojun's alchemical furnace. As everything happened before everyone's eyes, he was so ashamed that his old face turned very red, for he was shocked by the unreasonable speed shown by Chen Shang. Impossible, Li Baojun shouted. He hastily ran over and checked the jade box next to Chen Zhang's alchemical furnace. As he inspected the 10 5 elements true elemental dans carefully, a look of disbelief showed up on his face. Chen Zhang's quality and quantity were both very good. However, the most shocking was still his speed. Chen Shang, on the other hand, didn't pay any attention to Li Baojun and started choosing the herbs from that basket. Can you be a little serious? Chen Shang said to Li Baojun. Hearing this, Li Baojun felt as if he had been lashed by a whip. Only now did he came to realize Chen Shang wasn't an ordinary little rascal. Li Baojun took a few deep breaths to calm himself down, otherwise, he would lose the first round, which for him would be a galling shame and humiliation. He was someone who could refine heaven-level dans, and he was actually defeated by a little rascal who could only refine low-grade profound-level dans. If this news spread, how was he going to face anyone? Having relied on the time acceleration of the brilliant flame dragon furnace, Chen Zhang's speed of alchemy had reached a very frightening degree. However, this was because he was going all out, not to mention that he was in the extreme state now, and as such, the heavenly sun fire in his body had reached a new level. That's strange, my flames are a lot stronger. In these 10 days, they have become stronger. Could it be because of Hua Xiangyu's blood? When Chen Shang was refining just a moment ago, he felt that there was something wrong with his flames. Although it was a good news, he could not understand why. If that's the case, then, Hua Xiangyu definitely has a fire spirit. The fire spirit is fused with the flesh and blood of its possessor. You have sucked so much of her blood, therefore, a lot of her fire spirit's energy was sucked into your body and subsequently fused with your heavenly sun fire spirit, explained Su Meiyao. Previously, Chen Shang and Wu Qianchen had given it a try. And to their surprise, their two fire spirits could be fused. Moreover, they became stronger. At this time, Li Baojun's heart was in turmoil because whenever he recalled Chen Zhang's refining speed, he wasn't able to refine dans with a calm heart. He had personally checked Chen Zhang's dans. They were indeed 5 elements true elemental dans, out and out. And whether it was their quality or quantity, they were of the best kind. From a comprehensive perspective, Chen Shang had already reached the peak in refining profound-level dans. In this regard, he was indeed not a match of Chen Shang. Very soon, Chen Shang had refined another set of dans. As for Li Baojun, not only had he not refined one set, he had blasted his furnace once. This was a pretty big blow for Li Baojun. Even so, at the end of the day, Li Baojun was an old man who had lived for many years. Very soon, he calmed himself down and had finished refining one set of herbs. However, he was only able to refine 8 5 elements true elemental dans. Whereas Chen Shang was able to refine 10 from one set of herbs. Many years as Li Baojun had been guarding this place, there was still a limit on how many 5 elements true elemental dan herbs he could get. And from the beginning, he was a high-level alchemist, naturally, he won't go and refine these kinds of low-level herbs. In contrast, Chen Shang was someone who had planted many 5 elements true elemental dan herbs and refined the 5 elements true elemental dans many times just to speed up his cultivation. Therefore, Chen Shang was very familiar with refining this dan. In this regard, he had a pretty big advantage. Half an hour later, Chen Shang had already refined 8 sets of 5 elements true elemental dans. Whereas Li Baojun was only able to refine 2 sets. However, Li Baojun maintained a level head, he wasn't disturbed by this. Hua Xiangyu, who was watching from the sideline, was secretly enjoying after watching Chen Shang leading by so much because, in the beginning, Li Baojun was underestimating Chen Shang too much. And now that Chen Shang was leading by so big of a difference, she was sure that Li Baojun was ill at ease in his heart. If it was her, maybe she won't be able to win so easily like Chen Shang. Time went by just like that. Chen Shang was completely immersed in refining dans. He simply didn't notice the flow of time. Taking out the 5 elements true elemental dans set after set, he too was delighted. Tedious as the alchemy was, he always felt happy when he took out the dans. 28 sets. That was the number of sets Chen Shang was able to refine. Watching the 285 elements true elemental dan jam-packing that jade box, Chen Shang was filled with pleasure. Whereas Li Baojun was only able to refine 12 sets, out of which, 1 set of herbs had exploded. Altogether he had refined 88 dans. His quantity was far less than that of Chen Zhang's. Therefore, he had completely lost in all aspects. Hey, if you have given me your herbs, I would have been able to refine a dozen or so dans extra. Now, it should be pretty obvious who is the winner and who is the loser, right? Said Chen Shang, laughing pridefully. Hearing this, Li Baojun's old face turned red. Earlier, he was completely confident in his win, he believed he could make Chen Shang lose in a very ugly manner. However, who would have known that he would lose to the point that he didn't have any face left? There are still 2 rounds left. I was negligent this time. Moreover, I had also underestimated you. Next game, I will definitely win, proclaimed Li Baojun. He regained his confidence. He felt that as a high-level alchemist, he should not get discouraged by such a small setback. Chen Shang only smiled. Are you going to give me these dans? At the end, if you are the winner, I will give all of them to you. Li Baojun did not care about these low-level dans. For him, they were completely useless. In the next round, they were going to compete in refining 3 most commonly used low-grade profound level dans. Chen Shang was worried that Li Baojun would ask him to refine some unconventional dans which he hadn't refined yet. However, he was still unafraid. He had the refining simulation technique. Moreover, he had already mastered the technique to refine low-grade profound level dans. Even if he hadn't refined those dans before, he could easily handle them. Chapter 458, Baptizing Bone Dan. Li Baojun said that the next round would only begin after an hour break. He did this because he wanted to take a breath of respite, he wanted to calm his heart down. Now, he was on guard against all possible scenarios. Having watched Chen Shang refine 5 elements true elemental dans so easily and so quickly, moreover, 2 extra dans than him, Li Baojun no longer had that easygoing attitude that he had a moment ago. From the performance of Chen Shang, it was quite evident that Chen Zhang's alchemy foundation was quite solid. Li Baojun believed that even his master, Dan King Li Tianjin won't be a match of Chen Shang in refining 5 elements true elemental dans. Chen Shang may have been refining just low-grade profound level dans, once Chen Shang could refine high-level dans, he would surely show the same results as he had shown now, high quality, better quantity as well as an astonishing speed. This could only be done if one had a very solid foundation. As many geniuses as he had seen, it was still the first time he had seen a genius like Chen Shang, who's so steady and without pride and arrogance. If someday, Chen Shang ever reached the level of Dan King, he sure would be a very powerful figure. Next, we are going to be refining 3 very useful low-grade profound level dans. Of course, this is only true for low-level martial artists like yourself. Li Baojun still believed Chen Shang was just a true martial realm martial artist. Chen Shang cracked a smile as he said, low-grade profound level dans are not very useful to me, I need middle-grade or perhaps high-grade profound level dans. Li Baojun was momentarily taken by surprise. He could not help but ask, what is your cultivation level? I have just advanced to extreme state, the early stage of spirit martial realm. Answered Chen Shang. Li Baojun gulped nervously. He very much wanted to ask Chen Zhang's age, but he still didn't ask. He was worried that he would receive another blow. Just his high alchemy skills and his extraordinary strength had given him a considerable scare. The 3 dans are 5 elements true elemental dan, building foundation dan, and baptizing bone dan. Do you any objection? Li Baojun asked. Is baptizing bone dan very common? Chen Shang now had a difficult time in finding the herbs of baptizing bone dan. This kind of dan could strengthen a martial artist's physique. It was greatly useful but very uncommon. It was very common a long time ago, however, over these 10,000 years, it has become very rare, said Hua Shangyu. Chen Shang nodded his acknowledgement. I don't have any problem. When do we start? He was very familiar with the building foundation dan and 5 elements true elemental dan. As for baptizing marrow dan, he had never refined it. The baptizing marrow dan was not as difficult to refine as 5 elements true elemental dan. However, from the books, Chen Shang knew that it still had a certain difficulty. Now, he could only employ the refining simulation technique and give it a try. He felt that this was also a method and opportunity to improve his refining simulation technique. Li Baojun gave Chen Shang 3 jade boxes, each carrying 3 sets of herbs respectively. Out of which, 2 he was very familiar with, which were the herbs for refining building foundation dan and 5 elements true elemental dan. The 3rd set he had never seen. Apart from some ginseng, fleece flower root and lingzi which were auxiliary herbs, there were 3 black ingredients that appeared to be some kind of fruits. They were very hard. When he picked them up to feel, they felt like iron balls. Judging from Chen Zhang's expression, Hua Shangyu realized that Chen Shang would be refining this baptizing bone dan for the first time. Previously, Chen Shang had asked her help to gather the baptizing bone dan herbs. However, she never found them. Have you never refined the baptizing bone dan? Li Baojun had also come to notice this, because Chen Shang had a curious look on his face when looking at those 3 iron ball-like fruits. Chen Shang nodded his affirmation. This should be the main herbs of baptizing bone dan, the iron heart fruit. I heard that it is harder than iron and also very difficult to refine. Li Baojun blurted out, taken aback, you have never refined it. Then, why did you say you have no problem a moment ago? This is surely disadvantageous for you. Chen Shang smiled, might as well, I just wanted to try it out. Because this herb of baptizing bone dan is rarely found, surely, I would want to try refining it, regardless of anything. Chen Shang was speaking the truth. So long as he saw some rare herbs, he could not wait to refine them. Li Baojun was completely shocked. He could not help but look at Chen Shang with horror. For him to say so when he had never refined that dan, there was only one possibility, and that was that Chen Shang knew that skill which all high-level alchemists needed to master, the refining simulation technique. In Li Baojun's cognition, only when someone was beginning to learn refining high-grade profound level dan or low-grade earth level dan, he or she would learn that damn refining simulation technique. That technique was very taxing to the mind. It was an alchemy technique during which its user had to use every cell of his brain. If an alchemist could not learn this technique, he or she would never become a high-level alchemist. And now, Chen Shang could only refine low-grade profound level dan, yet he had mastered such a high-rank alchemy technique. He could very well be called as a genius among geniuses. Li Baojun took a few deep breaths before coming over to Chen Shang and asked him in a serious manner, do you know the refining simulation technique? Chen Shang answered, when I was refining the 5 elements true elemental dan for the first time, I had used the refining simulation technique. Furthermore, the conditions at that time were very poor as well. At that time, Chen Shang didn't have an alchemical furnace. He was using his spiritual energy to create a transparent alchemical furnace. Suffice to say, the difficulty had reached a whole new level. But also because of this, he was able to master the basics of refining simulation technique. The credit must also go to Hua Shangyu. Therefore, Chen Shang was very grateful to her. Who is your master? Li Baojun asked subconsciously. Then, he turned his gaze to Hua Shangyu. If Chen Shang could have such a solid foundation at his age, then, his master should surely be an extraordinary figure. I have been taught by 3 people, one is her, other is an elder of my extreme martial sect, and the last one is a senior, I can't say her name, Chen Shang reported truthfully. When he was in Extreme Dan King Courtyard, Elder Dan had also instructed him in alchemy. At that time, he had benefited a lot from her. Whereas Hua Shangyu had created a huge hurdle before Chen Shang during the alchemy competition of Danxiang Taoyuan, forcing Chen Shang to break through his bottleneck and master the refining simulation technique and illusionary brilliant furnace. Li Baojun sighed deeply. There was an incomparably solemn expression on his face. Only now did he came to realize that the guy he was despising all this time was not some ordinary character. He believed that if Chen Shang could reach his level, he would definitely achieve far more than he had. The curtain on the second round soon opened. Li Baojun took this round very seriously because if he lost this round, he won't have any opportunities to turn the tables. He was an old and honorable alchemist, he was not too far away from becoming a Dan ancestor. But if he lost to this little rascal, he would have lived in vain all this time. Chen Shang and Li Baojun began processing the herbs. Li Baojun was the first to process the herbs. He was refining the 5 elements true elemental dan first. What Li Baojun could not comprehend was as to why Chen Shang was processing 2 distinct sets of herbs, one for 5 elements true elemental dan and one for building foundation dan. However, seeing this, a smile crossed Hua Shangyu's face. She knew what Chen Shang was planning to do. Since Chen Shang had never refined baptizing bone dan, he needed a lot of time to carry out the refining simulation technique, and also, he would need to slow down his speed. Therefore, in order to save some time, he could only refine building foundation dan and 5 elements true elemental dan simultaneously. Hua Shangyu was sure that she soon would be able to watch Chen Shang refine 2 sets of dans simultaneously. No matter how many times she had watched it, it was still as shocking as before. Since then, she had secretly tried it herself. Although she was successful, she was far from Chen Zhang's level. Chapter 459, New Challenge. While refining the Dan, Li Baojun was also keeping an eye on Chen Zhang's movements. He wanted to see how Chen Shang would refine dans. Having processed the herbs of building foundation Dan and the 5 elements true elemental Dan, Chen Shang placed the 5 elements true elemental Dan herbs inside the brilliant flame dragon furnace. As the 5 elements true elemental Dan was a bit harder to refine as compared to the building foundation Dan, using the brilliant flame dragon furnace was more appropriate. Noticing Chen Shang placing only one hand inside the alchemical furnace to pour in the flames, Li Baojun found it a bit strange. But when he saw Chen Shang pick up the building foundation Dan herbs, he was even more astounded. What does he want to do? Wondered Li Baojun in his heart. Releasing his spiritual energy, Chen Shang created a transparent alchemical furnace, the illusionary brilliant furnace. An alchemical furnace that was completely invisible to the naked eye. When Chen Shang placed the building foundation Dan herbs inside the illusionary brilliant furnace, Li Baojun was so shocked that he almost blasted his furnace. Watching the building foundation Dan herbs floating in the air, Li Baojun felt as though the herbs were placed inside a transparent alchemical furnace, situated in the middle section of the furnace. At the sight of this scene, Li Baojun very much wanted to dig out his eyes and wipe them clean, to make sure his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. Even after having lived so long, it was still the first time he had seen such a strange scene. But what shocked him even more was still the next part, when Chen Shang poured the flames inside the illusionary brilliant furnace. The scene of flames rising from below, swirling their way into the second level and baking those herbs was simply astounding. Owing to the flames, those herbs started releasing white and green brilliance, dazzling Li Baojun's eyes to the point that his eyes started to hurt. Which also proved that he wasn't mistaken. Li Baojun gulped fiercely in shock. He was so shocked by Chen Shang that he was profusely sweating. Only now he knew what Chen Shang was doing. He was actually refining 2 sets of herbs at the same time. Furthermore, one set was being refined without an alchemical furnace. This way, Chen Shang could refine 2 sets of Dan at a faster speed. And then, he could use the time he had just saved to employ the refining simulation technique in order to refine the baptizing bone Dan. This kind of far-sighted thinking left Li Baojun in admiration. He suddenly felt that he wasn't a match of Chen Shang. He felt that aside from the fact that he could refine higher-grade Dans than Chen Zhang's, he was nothing. If someday, Chen Shang could also reach the same level as his, he believed that Chen Shang would surely be able to refine better high-level Dans than him, especially quantity-wise. Under normal circumstances, when refining high-level Dan, the alchemists would refine fewer Dans in order to increase their chance of success. Therefore, high-level Dans were very rare. However, if Chen Shang could refine an extra Dan, he would surely make a killing. When refining high-level Dans, the difference of an extra Dan was comparable to the difference between heaven and earth. Li Baojun calmed himself down as he watched the startling scene of Chen Shang using the transparent alchemical furnace to refine Dans. Even at his age, he never got to see how the herbs are converted into Dans inside the alchemical furnace with his own eyes. Therefore, this startling scene was a rare sight for him. The spirit herbs contained a vast amount of energy. Once they were incinerated by the flames, it would cause the energy to burst out, which would then release a dazzling aura. Now, when Chen Shang was refining the building foundation Dan herbs, glaring golden and green brilliance dazzled everyone's eyes. The corresponding scene was extremely beautiful. From the changes happening inside that alchemical furnace, Hua Shangyu and Li Baojun realized that Chen Shang was refining the building foundation Dan at an astonishing speed. Furthermore, he was also putting every wisp of those herbal spirit cheese into use. He wasn't wasting even the slightest bit. All of the herbal cheese were being congealed into Dans. Generally, in order to do this, one needed to have a very high degree of control over flames and divine sense, both. Furthermore, the alchemical furnace also needed to act in consort. But Chen Shang was doing everything flawlessly. More importantly, he was doing it while refining a batch of 5 elements true elemental Dans at the same time. At the sight of this, Hua Shangyu and Li Baojun were secretly amazed, for they believed that they won't be able to do to this degree. As far as they were concerned, this was the ultimate state of alchemy. At this time, Li Baojun suddenly felt that Chen Shang would very like become an alchemist who would one day surpass Dan King Li Tianjin. He was very familiar with Li Tianjin. He knew that if Li Tianjin descended to the mortal world, perhaps he too would be unable to defeat Chen Shang. Although he saw Chen Shang display such a unique alchemy technique, Li Baojun still believed that he could win because Chen Shang did not know how to refine the baptizing bone Dan. Even if Chen Shang used the refining simulation technique, the chances of failure were pretty big. However, Li Baojun felt that even if won, it was still because of the unfair advantage in the contest, because whether it was Chen Zhang's age or experience in alchemy, they were far too lacking as compared to Li Baojun's. Especially the fact that Chen Shang didn't know how to refine the baptizing bone dan. Very soon, 4 masses of green aura appeared in that transparent illusionary brilliant furnace of Chen Shang. Seeing 4 masses of green fogs rotating on their own axis, Li Baojun marveled once more. His own limit was 3 dans per set. However, Chen Shang was actually refining 4 in the 2 in those conditions. Refining 4 building foundation dans with 1 batch of herbs was pretty easy for Chen Shang. Even if he was using the Flame Dragon Brilliant Furnace, he would have gotten the same result. However, achieving the same was doubly difficult for other alchemists. Now, Li Baojun came to realize why an attractive woman like Hua Shangyu was willing to be with a kid like Chen Shang, for Chen Zhang's talent and prospects were simply too horrifying. So long as he was trained properly, Chen Shang would surely become an outstanding alchemist in the future. In the world of cultivation, no matter how high the level of refiners, array grand masters, and talisman masters was, they could not be compared to an alchemist. Because the dan refined by a top-level alchemist was simply priceless. It could allow someone to break through their bottleneck, revive someone from the inch of death. Therefore, even those refiners and talisman masters would take most of the items personally crafted by them to please the alchemist so that he would refine a dan for them. And whether the alchemists would refine or not also depended on his or her mood. Soon, 4 glittering green dans were congealed inside the illusionary brilliant furnace. These were the building foundation dans. Judging from their color and the herbal qi wafting from them, it was clearly evident that these building foundation dans were of top-grade quality. Meanwhile, Chen Shang had also finished refining the 5 elements true elemental dans. What's more was that there were 10 of them and of top-grade quality at that. Chen Zhang's relaxed expression gave the impression that refining these dans were as easy as eating for him. As for Li Baojun, he had yet to finish refining 1 set. Now, he decided to get serious, or else, he would lose to Chen Shang for sure. If he could refine the 3 dans before Chen Shang, he could still win the game. Having finished refining the building foundation dans and the 5 elements true elemental dans, Chen Shang began processing the baptizing bone dan herbs. He decided that he must get more of these baptizing bone dans, for he was planning to train a team of 3,000 true martial realm martial artists. And these baptizing bone dans were very useful in true martial realm. The main ingredients of baptizing bone dan were 3 iron heart fruits. From the books and Su Meiyao, Chen Shang knew that these iron heart fruits were very difficult to refine. Furthermore, their herbal spirit qi was extremely violent and also very heavy, adding another level of difficulty especially when congealing the dan. This was what made the baptizing bone dan difficult to refine. Chen Shang wasn't worried about refining them as he had the heavenly sunfire spirit. Neither he was worried about the violent nature of the herbal spirit qi because he could suppress them with his spiritual energy. Since he came to know that the spiritual energy could save his strength when it was used in alchemy, his speed of refining dan had improved a lot. Therefore, refining these extremely difficult dans didn't give him any pressure. Just to be on the safe side, Chen Shang was planning to use the brilliant flame dragon furnace, since it could also allow him to raise his speed as well. Winning this round would mean passing Li Baojun's test. Chen Shang wanted to get that herb garden as soon as possible so that he could return early. For refining the baptizing bone dan, there weren't too many ingredients. However, they were extremely heavy, all because of those 3 iron heart fruits. Although they may be the size of a baby fist, 3 of them altogether weighed 100 jin. This in itself proved how mystical this spirit fruit was. Chapter 460, Sincerely Convinced. Chen Shang began processing the baptizing bone dan herbs. It was just some auxiliary herbs, which he was finished with very soon. He was refining this dan for the first time. He had no idea about those 3 iron heart fruit. Neither he was clear about their characteristics, nor he had any idea about what temperature should the flames be adjusted or when would they show any changes in the flames. Since he didn't know anything, just the slightest bit of carelessness would cause him to fail. Therefore, he had to use the refining simulation technique to predict the change at every step. If he learned about what changes would occur and when they would occur, he could make the necessary adjustments. Placing the herbs in the brilliant flame dragon furnace and pouring in the heavenly sun fire, Chen Shang accepted this new challenge. When Chen Shang had begun learning alchemy, when he hadn't learned the refining simulation technique, he would always make preparations for the failure. In fact, the refining simulation technique was devised to reduce the failure. Last time, when he was refining the 5 elements true elemental Dan, failure was not an option. And this time too, he must successfully refine the Dan which he had never refined at his first try. This time if he failed, he won't get that herb garden. Therefore, he needed to be successful, which was another difficult challenge for him. As the rumor stated, the iron heart fruit was very difficult to melt, leaving Chen Shang no choice but to intensify the flames. Enhancing the temperature of the flame could very easily melt that iron heart fruit that was difficult to melt. A herb that could grow into such a form would surely be storing a kind of strange energy inside it. And when this herb was combined with other auxiliary herbs to refine a Dan, the Dan could have even more mystical power which could strengthen its user's physique. After intensifying the flames, Chen Shang used the refining simulation technique. Very soon, Chen Shang foresaw the complete incineration of the auxiliary herbs because of the excessive flames, thereby destroying the entire herbal spirit qi. This was a very serious problem. Chen Shang promptly made adjustments and used his powerful divine sense to guard those delicate auxiliary herbs. This way, even if used stronger flames to burn the iron heart fruit, he didn't have to worry about harming the auxiliary herbs. Bit by bit, Chen Shang strengthened the flames. This iron heart fruit was the hardest herb Chen Shang had ever encountered. It was very difficult to incinerate. Of course, his heavenly sun flames were very powerful as well, especially after sucking Hua Xiangyu's blood. As he continued to intensify the flames, changes had finally started to occur in that iron heart fruit. Be that as it may, it still took Chen Shang more than 4 hours to bake that iron heart fruit. However, this was the time inside the brilliant flame dragon furnace. More importantly, the iron spirit fruit had just begun to melt, that's all. It still hadn't been completely incinerated into powder. Difficult as it was to completely extract the herbal spirit qi from baking, in Chen Zhang's opinion, it was a bit easier than the 5 elements true elemental Dan. Not to mention, when he was refining the 5 elements true elemental Dan, he had just gotten hang of the refining simulation technique. In various regards, the condition at that time wasn't as good as now. Therefore, Chen Shang didn't find refining the baptizing bone Dan extremely difficult. Hua Xiangyu sat in the arbor, playing with her hair. Her pretty eyes were completely focused on Chen Zhang's handsome face. She found a serious Chen Shang very attractive. Looking at Chen Shang, her face was flushed red. God knows what was going on in her brain. 4 Dans can be refined from 1 set of baptizing bone Dan herbs. But now, in my current condition, it seems I can at least refine 6 Dans. This should definitely defeat that old man. Originally, there was a rather serious look on Chen Zhang's face. But now, he looked a lot at ease. Hua Xiangyu had also noticed that he was about to solidify the Dans. Chen Shang had already spent more than an hour to refine the baptizing bone Dan. He had taken so much time because he was refining it for the first time. Yet, he had already caught up with Li Baojun. In contrast, Li Baojun was refining with ease as he had refined the baptizing bone Dan many times. Be that as it may, a mountain of pressure was pressing on his heart. He was worried that he would lose to Chen Shang. Chen Shang was competing with an alchemist at the level of Li Baojun, who could refine the heaven-level Dans for the first time. Although it was a competition using low-level Dans, the foundation of the 2 alchemists could be discerned from it. At this moment, Li Baojun's forehead was drenched in sweat. He was tensed because while he was alchemy, he was also paying attention to Chen Zhang's movements. Finally, having finished first, Li Baojun promptly took out 5 baptizing bone Dans. Those Dans radiating brownish-red brilliance looked strangely beautiful. Seeing that he had refined 5 Dans, a complacent smile appeared on Li Baojun's old face immediately. He believed that it would be very good already if Chen Shang managed to refine 1 baptizing bone Dan on his first try. Seeing Li Baojun finished refining, Hua Xiangyu immediately came over. Li Baojun had refined 8 5 elements true elemental Dans, 3 building foundation Dans, and 5 baptizing bone Dans. This was already pretty good. At least in the mortal martial world, only a few people could achieve such a result. Hua Xiangyu believed that she herself was just a tad bit better than Li Baojun. A short while after Li Baojun had finished refining the baptizing bone Dan, Chen Shang also opened his eyes. Spotting this, Hua Xiangyu hurriedly rushed over to him and used a fragrant handkerchief to wipe the sweat on his face. She was very clear about what kind of toll it would take to refine a Dan which he had never refined using the refining simulation technique. Hey, I didn't take long, did I? Stated Chen Shang. You don't need to worry about it, you didn't lag by too much. Comparing the results of the previous 2 Dans, you are in the lead. But if the baptizing bone Dans you have refined are fewer in number, you will definitely lose to me. You need at least 3 baptizing bone Dans to defeat me. Li Baojun cracked a faint smile. He also knew the refining simulation technique. So, he knew very well that when refining unfamiliar Dans using the refining simulation technique, the number of Dans refined would not be much because it was very difficult to control. Hearing Li Baojun, Chen Shang promptly opened the lid and took out 6 baptizing bone Dans. Senior Li, please check them. Chen Shang slightly smiled. His eyes flickered with joy. He was feeling rather satisfied for defeating a high-level alchemist like Li Baojun. At the sight of 6 glittering brownish-red Dans, Li Baojun was shocked silly. He suspected that Chen Shang had long learned to refine baptizing bone Dan, otherwise, how could he refine so many on his first try? Of course, he didn't know that when Chen Shang would refine Dans, his would try not to waste even a bit. Therefore, no matter under what circumstances, he could put the herbs to a complete use and refine as many Dans as possible. Hua Shangyu was only a little surprised. She was already numb to Chen Zhang's surprising deeds. She said with a cute laugh, "It seems I don't need to participate." Li Baojun slumped down to the ground on his ass and heaved a sigh facing skyward. All of a sudden, he had grown a lot older. He never thought that he, who had delved in alchemy for so many years, would lose to a greenhorn kid. Furthermore, he would lose so miserably. He had been thoroughly defeated by Chen Shang. Taking out all the Dans he and Chen Shang had refined just now, Li Baojun handed them to Chen Shang and said, "Take them, you win. You have passed the test, this herb garden is yours. For this herb garden to have a master like you is for the best." After taking the Dans, Chen Shang gave his thanks. "Senior Li, what are you planning to do next? You have been here for far too long, you should leave. Although the 3 realms' great battle is about to begin, you should go out and take a look at the world. It might not be a bad thing," said Chen Shang. Li Baojun nodded in agreement as he said, "I will leave. After having competed with you, I have learned many things. Next time we meet again, I will definitely beat you." Having said this, Li Baojun left this underground herb garden through a one-time teleportation array.